Hello and welcome back to the Super Show. I am Jonesy, and today is the epic return of Chris.
Woohoo! He's back.
I'm back, bitches.
And he's already
have to
forgotten
cut
how
that out
YouTube
first.
works. Copyrighted music in the first 10 seconds.
And a swear word. So
It's a
Jesus
double
Christ.
whammy.
welcome back to the Chris Show.
Yeah, we had to give a shout out straight away because we are psyched to have you back, Chris. Thank you very much. Everyone else, though, for joining us. We are a gaming podcast who give you some hot takes and some trash opinions. But we're not just on YouTube. We're also on any of the lovely podcasting platforms that are out there. I'm talking about Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. We are rather ubiquitous these days, guys, aren't we? Because we're also... Do you like that? We're also on Paisley Radio every Thursday at 10 p.m. is the I can't even say it, the Super Show slot. So join us there for some semi-live.
Don't say that 10 times fast. That might start sounding different.
Yeah, I really can't. But hey, guys, more importantly, yes, Jamie and Chris are with me today. And Chris has been off. This is the 5th week. 4 weeks you haven't been on. Is that about right?
I think only three.
I've missed three. Yeah.
So we are super psyched to have you back.
Did you miss it?
How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm glad to be here, Alex Jones.
How you feeling, mate? How you doing?
I'm about 90% there, and what sucks is I've been about 90% there for the past week. It's getting quite annoying, but I guess it's just the nature of things, and COVID's a son of a bitch, and just got to.
Yeah, for people that didn't know, Chris genuinely had coronavirus. He had COVID.
Proper COVID.
So suckage, major suckage. So in case anyone didn't think it was real and thought it was made up, Chris can vouch.
That's me right here. As far as I'm concerned, Chris just had a bad case of the shivers.
The shivers. All right, look, okay, guys, I'll come clean, okay? When I told you that I had COVID, it's not exactly true, okay? I was actually going through experimental growth hormone therapy. And I'm actually a giant now. You can't tell.
Shit.
So what's happening with the microphone, if you're watching on YouTube, is it looks normal size, but that's some Peter Jackson shit. Look at this. That's a normal can of Coke. Look at that. Normal can of Coke. I'll fucking crush that shit in my hand. And I'll
You're like 9 feet tall now.
Andre the Giant, eat your heart out. We've got Chris the Giant. Chris, when are you joining the WWE? That's the real question.
Mate, MMA all the way.
Oh, right.
Bellator actually have a push. It's between MMA and Bellator. I'm weighing my options. All right. But not true. I had COVID, and this is a 150 ml can of Coke.
I don't believe you. I think it is real size. And anyone out there who does that weird conspiracy video shit where they do the size of the can versus the size of your head, where they put the lines and work out how tall Chris is now.
Okay, I'll give you a reference shot.
I'd love to see Just Interesting devote a whole podcast to figuring out how tall Chris really is. That's what I want to see.
I'd love it.
Yeah,
I'd love it.
That would be great. But hey, guys, do you reckon we should get into some news?
I reckon we should, Alex Jones, because that's what we're here for, right?
I think the first story that we've got this week is Jamie is going to absolutely love because because it features one of his all-time favorite characters from video games. But this is the news that Jack Black has been signed up to play Claptrap in the Borderlands film. A perfect marriage.
Jamie loves Jack Black, Jamie loves Claptrap, and Jamie loves Borderlands in varying degrees, admittedly. But there we go.
I'd say you got 1.5 out of 3 there, Chris. Oh God, it just doesn't. Am I the only one who thinks this doesn't fit at all? Like, the first question I asked in the Discord is, does he use his real voice? Does he use his normal Jack Black voice?
He definitely uses his real voice.
Yeah, I reckon he will. It'll just be Jack. He'll be Jack Trap.
Well, yeah. So yeah, what's the point in being Claptrap then? Like.
But this is the thing these days, isn't it? They don't want they don't want someone to do the voice. They want someone to be them, and then they can stick another name on the poster and say,
maybe they'll
Jack
put some
Black.
maybe they'll put some like modulation on his voice or some shit. I don't know.
Maybe. Interesting.
Like when you're on the Discord chat and you lose an internet connection, and you just start sounding a little bit robotic.
Yeah.
For anyone out there who doesn't know, who hasn't heard it before, Jamie's only a little bit salty because his favourite line from all Borderlands is when Claptrap goes, "I'm dancing." And the idea that Jack Black won't perfectly recreate that line is rubbed Jamie up the wrong way.
Yeah, but there will be dubstep, so don't worry, it'll be there.
Oh, great, perfect! A match made in heaven.
Hold on, Jamie. Like honestly, now, what
Yeah.
is it about Claptrap that you don't like?
I remember when I played the first Borderlands game, I thought this guy is fine in that sort of I'm not going to call him a lovable companion, but him being annoying was sort of part of the shtick. Like, you're not meant to love him. He's meant to be a bit of a goofball who kind of fucks around, and you think, this guy, I sort of resent the shit that comes out of this guy's robotic mouth, but he's here for the journey. And it just got, like a lot of the Borderlands stuff, more and more obnoxious as the series went on. And by the time you're in the middle of like Borderlands 2 and you're dealing with people like Tiny Tina or whatever she's called, and all these people, everyone has annoying voices, everyone says annoying shit, and none of it made me laugh. And so it's like, where are we at now? What are we doing?
But then why was Claptrap your kind of like Steam outlet? Because if it's par for the course across the board, but yet Claptrap is the one that's got the target on his head.
He's probably because he's just the easiest target, right? You know, he's the most sort of like obnoxiously loud and in-your-face character. And even going to the Borderlands 3 presentations that we went to back in early 2019, God, figuring my years out on the fly.
That never happened. You never went to any kind of a live event. Don't fucking lie.
Do you want to know the reason I know I went to a live event, Chris? Because I watched the dress rehearsals for it, and I saw that thing about 5 fucking times. I saw Randy Pitchford go through every joke in his book, trying to figure out what would work best on that audience. That's how I know. That's my Vietnam. That's what gives me PTSD. Wow. And Claptrap was like a big part of that demo and introducing you to the world and doing weird stealthy shit and pretending. I don't know. He was an easy target, an easy outlet for my frustration at the unique brand of Borderlands humor.
See, that's kind of
he's
crazy.
almost he's the Jar Jar Binks of Borderlands. But they kept bringing him
he's
back.
The Jar Jar Binks. Imagine it exactly, Jonesy's fucking hit the nail on the head. Imagine if Jar Jar Binks was like annoyingly prominent in 3 movies that were otherwise kind of okay.
What do you mean? Imagine.
Well,
It happened.
Because he's only really prominent in one of them, I feel like, and then he kind of like becomes less and less relevant.
He's very background in the other 2. Yeah, imagine he was at the forefront for 3 movies.
Imagine if Jar Jar Binks was almost, in some people's opinions, the face of that trilogy. And also, imagine if Jar Jar Binks loved to say one of you two sex. I'm not going to say it. The catchphrase.
I'm dancing.
Yeah.
Misa dancing.
And it was used so much that you had to believe that the people at Lucas, or maybe George Lucas himself, genuinely thought it was funny and entertaining, so they kept going back to it. Yeah. I know I'm in the minority,
with Claptrap, I think. Funnily enough, I don't think you are.
Well, in this group at least. Right?
Oh well, yeah.
I feel like you're always going to. I think the problem with stories like Borderlands, though, is when you can choose from various characters. I think the problem you get is there's no face of the game from the protagonist side, right? So if you have like a companion like Claptrap, it almost gets more prominence because every time you play that game, if you're the soldier, if you're the siren, it's different every time, so they can't pin anything on that. So they go, who's the face? Claptrap, and then you're like, it's the equivalent of like Jar Jar Binks was the only available character because the Jedi were just generic Jedi.
I wonder if they knew that and they were like, we don't want Claptrap as the face, so that's why it was more like Handsome Jack.
Maybe. But I don't remember Handsome Jack being as prominent at the time. Like when the first game came out, it was kind of after the fact.
Second game was all about
second game.
But even second game, they with Handsome Jack they had another problem, which is the villain problem, which is that how do you give the villain a lot of airtime without cutting away to them doing stuff as a way, like aside from what you're doing. And I guess Borderlands 2, it's a lot of like voiceover and you getting messages from Handsome Jack and his little face in the corner. Whereas Claptrap as like the buddy, as the sidekick, can kind of be there for a lot of it. And he's not there for huge amounts of some of those games. In a weirdly Jar Jar Binks like way, he does sort of drift into the background quite a lot, but still.
I used to like when you went into those like little like hubs where you it's like a rest area or whatever, and he'd just go about doing his business, and if you like follow him, you find like some funny little stories, whatever. But anyway, fucking Borderlands film, fellas.
Yeah. Let's go through a few other points just in case people don't know about who else is in this. So we've got Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, and Cate Blanchett are also joining. Are also on the cast. Eli Roth is directing, and the script is from the Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin. He's involved. I'm not sure how he's involved in HBO's The Last of Us adaptation. I guess that's just writing some of it as well, or is he just the writer for that?
No, I think he's the showrunner on that, dude.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, had a fascinating career where if you look him up, he used to write things like he's one of the Scary Movie guys. So he used to do like Scary Movie, and he did, was it Superhero Movie with the guy from Drake and Josh, Drake Bell.
Wow. Then
and then he did some stuff on like The Hangover. Then out of nowhere, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be the showrunner and the lead writer for Chernobyl." And everyone was like,
and fucking smashed it at the end.
He did smash it, to be fair. So.
That's a great show. Chernobyl was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the casting? Because you've got
hold
Kate
on.
Blanchett.
Can I just...
Sorry, go on.
Chernobyl, the TV show, was fucking awesome. Chernobyl, the disaster was...
Chris has been sitting on some hot takes for the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's coming in with some bangers early on.
Boys, you don't understand the torture, okay, of listening to the Super Show podcast without me in it and hearing you fucking chuckleheads just talk about shit. It's like, no, I wish I was there. I could say something.
You're thinking, I'd disagree with that. I'd argue with that. I'd call him out on that.
Yeah, I've actually got I've written it all down. You know, it's waiting. It's waiting.
You can drop as many opinions as you want, mate. You don't just throw them in, even if it's irrelevant. Go for it.
Anything from the last month in gaming news.
So,
I don't want to open up the can of worms, fellas. Let's just focus on this podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can give me some opinions now, because let's talk about who each person's playing. So Kevin Hart is playing Soldier, Roland. Jamie Lee Curtis is playing Patricia Tannis, the archaeologist, and Kate Blanchett is playing Lilith, who's a siren, the thief. That, to me, was probably the best casting for, like, look-wise, because Kate Blanchett has that kind of a really interesting look, and if she's blue, which is Lilith blue? I think she's blue.
No, I think she's, like, orangey.
Is she orangey?
Or maybe she's blue surrounded by orange.
Or isn't she... Oh, fuck, I don't know.
I'm doing on-the-fly fact-checking. So
yeah, me too.
Borderlands
no,
is one
Lilith
of those
is normal.
that, like,
Lilith is normal colour, but she becomes all like flamey and gets big flame wings.
But she is normal. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm thinking about Giant Citizen Kabuto with the sirens and that Herald Blue. That game is never far from my forefront in my mind.
Okay.
Do you know what? Fair enough.
It's about like 2 decades removed, but sure.
But no, although Kate Blanchett is getting on a bit now, right? She's in her 50s, so I would have thought that's quite a physical part, which is interesting when they get older actors to play more physical stuff. Because I'm always like, does that mean they're going to have to rely a lot on
CG.
green screen, CG, that sort of stuff?
Which sounds like some really ageist opinions you're throwing out here,
Yeah,
James.
Yeah.
You're going to get
coming from you, Jonesy, I
effects.
think that's a little bit, it's a bit upsetting, actually.
I'm a person who likes practical effects. Hey, then you're going to love the next one, because I was going to say that I think it's interesting to cast Kevin Hart as the soldier.
Here we go.
What, because he's about 4'3"?
Yes, and he brings a certain energy to a role. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't remember the soldier being 4'3" in Borderlands. I feel like you're making a very strong pick when you go for someone like Kevin Hart in a role.
Yeah, but
he's usually...
No, but they're going to do the CG thing where Kevin Hart's going to call up his buddy The Rock and be like, "Yo, could you be my body? But I'm gonna, it's just gonna be my head and my delivery, but you be the physicality." And I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then Eli Roth's going to be like, splice them together.
Yeah,
Imagine, that'd be amazing.
For me, the way this thing is played out and the way this thing has been cast, what it screams to me is that they saw the potential to get these fairly high-profile actors and actresses in, some of which who have a very recent history of phenomenal successes in comedy films, like Jack Black and what's his face? We just said his name. Kevin Hart were in the Jumanji films together, which made stupid amounts of money at the box office. And I wondered if they look at Borderlands and was like, hey, we could just make another Jumanji style thing out of this.
Yeah,
and
just slap Borderlands on it.
Yeah, and just get big names out of it and get them to be funny in the way they're funny, even if it's not really what Borderlands is about. And
although you think though, like, yeah.
But the way, like, Kate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm like decent, really good actors as well.
Yeah.
So they can do any role. Kevin Hart, I've only ever seen him be Kevin Hart. So I'm like, it's a certain type of thing.
But good actors have taken bad roles in bad films before, and half the time they get interviewed after they do the junket afterwards, and they were like, "Yeah, my kid's a big fan." Like Jamie Lee Curtis, like legendary, been around for a long time, but isn't she also like, she goes like Comic Cons and stuff like that and dresses up and cosplays? She's like, she's down with the kids in that weird way, and I reckon like the Borderlands scripts. Yeah,
like Bill Murray, wasn't it like a famous thing? He signed up for Garfield because he thought it was being directed by one of the Coen brothers.
Yeah. He thought it was
great.
like Ethan Cohen, but it's like
Yeah.
Etan Cohen or something like that.
Cohen.
It's like
but
one
he still
letter
went
different.
and did a sequel because guess what? Kids' films make fucking bank.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
for sure.
was it Eddie Murphy rode that train for about 2 decades, or he made
Yeah,
an
fucking-
absolute fortune?
Ruined his reputation from it, but yeah, he's smiling all the way to the bank.
Do you know what, mate? He made money and he got a Spice Girl pregnant, so you can't really complain about that, can you?
Fair enough. But yeah, Jonesy, just two things on the casting that I want to talk about. Well, the people involved rather than the casting. Cate Blanchett, like, if you remember her in Thor Ragnarok, I mean, I know Marvel used a lot of CG and whatever, but
True.
She was really good in a very physical role there, very menacing, very hot. You know,
Super hot. Like,
I wouldn't
stupid hot in that.
exactly. No one would say no to that. But the other thing that makes me, kind of like interested in this is the Eli Roth angle, right? Obviously, a more traditional kind of like, you know, known for his horror elements of things, and then you've got, I don't. It's just it's a very strange mixing pot, and I wonder how well this will do.
It sounds. See, one thing that throws me is the Kevin Hart angle, and I'm not being mean to Kevin Hart. I like Kevin Hart in comedy films. I think he's a very funny guy. Apparently he's like the hardest working dude, like you know, ever. But well, apart from The Rock,
I think he's also like one of the highest paid comedians at the moment.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That would make
But
sense.
if you said to me Eli Roth, Cate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, even Jack Black, because Jack Black can play, he can have like more serious elements to him. But then I think Kevin Hart is the one. Then I'm like, oh, so it is a comedy. Especially then you put Jack Black and Kevin Hart together. I'm like, so it is a comedy. It is funny, but it's weird.
And when you consider that Craig Mazin's coming from the comedy background as well, you just think to yourself,
Also, Jamie Lee Curtis has done like more comic roles as well. So,
but makes sense. I mean,
been
Borderlands
placed.
is a very comedic kind of series, but
Yeah.
I
is,
wonder.
it is.
Do you reckon they're going to do any like post processing where they put like black outlines around?
Oh wow.
oh,
Or
like
do you think it's gonna, well, because that was the whole USP when Borderlands came out, right? It was like the cell shaded graphics and
Yeah.
what's the film?
question.
The Keanu, is it the
Scanner
Keanu Reeves?
Darkly.
Yes, not Keanu Reeves, is it? Who is it?
It is
Yeah,
Keanu
Keanu
Reeves.
Reeves,
Yeah.
Is it Keanu Reeves?
Keanu
And
Reeves
Robert
and
Downey
Robert-
Jr.
Yeah.
Darkly.
So someone in our Discord had one of the greatest takes. I can't remember who it was, but they said they really hope that there's a creature, like in the movie, that there's a creature and they blow it up and just shitloads of guns fall out of it, and they're just like, what the fuck?
That is one like iconic Borderlands gameplay element that would be hard to communicate in a film. Is like, how do you do loot? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think loot and the art style of and the writing / characters, but those are the things that kind of symbolize and represent what Borderlands is to me.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to put it in the film somehow. Otherwise, like, what's the fucking point?
See, I don't think the loot as much for me in that sense that I associate with Borderlands. For me, it's more like the big caches with loads of guns in. So as long as you've got some of those big crates that are like,
Aren't those the same
they've got
things?
but in the sense of like, I don't really need a monster with loot to jump out of. Like that happens, but it doesn't feel like specific to Borderlands. But in my head,
Oh right. So you just want
Yeah.
to
The way
see someone
the
open a
presentation-
chest
Opening
that
up the
has about
chest
50
and getting
guns in
that
it.
big fucking
exactly,
sniper or something,
exactly.
yeah.
Because I think loot falling out of enemies is a very, very common thing throughout games.
I'll-
But there's a very specific look and feel to Borderlands weapon crates in my
I'll
head.
take it one step further. I'd love to see a scene where they open a chest, 50 guns pop out, and then they spend the next 10 minutes looking at each individual one and trying to figure out, like, hang on a second, is this actually better than what I've got? Like, because I have to remove something from my inventory before I pick this up. So, like, should I just, like, drop this, or do I run back to the store and sell it to that? There's 2 green arrows, but there's 3 red. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to like Kevin Hart making a joke about someone going, "Oh wow, I've got this awesome new gun. It's amazing." And they're like, "Isn't that exactly the same as your old gun?" And they're like, "No, it's a brand new, completely different gun." And then it's like, okay.
I'm looking forward to when the news story comes out that reveals that Randy Pitchford paid $250,000 for a cameo. That seems like a Randy Pitchford move for some reason.
Yeah, but he just go in and just do a magic trick because he forgot all his lines. With his deck of cards that he keeps in his pocket. He always has a deck of cards in his pocket.
Yeah, any good magician does. Same with the top hat.
Yeah,
Always be wearing one.
And in the case of him, any bad magician as well.
Any bad magician, yeah. Oh dear. Anyway.
I think it's probably about time that we thank some very important people.
Oh, Okay.
I like the sound of that.
So, we only come back every week, or we can only come back every week because of the support of our amazing patrons over at patreon.com. So we'd like to give a quick shout out to some of those amazing people right now. They are AIM, Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Brett Z, Hacksaw Book Reed, Jesper Camdo Nielsen, Javela Cujo, Leo Murger, Lonnie Thompson, Magic Grits, Matt Towie, Mindful Pig, Nathan Pears, Pastors Guild, Scary Omen, Sean Kennedy, Starfall Kid, Zach Cream, and the three big dogs. It is Manuel Guerrero, Peaswad, and the Dude Abides. So thank you to you guys, and thank you to all of our patrons. You are amazing, and you really do make it so that we can come back and do this week after week, and we are very grateful. If you'd like to join the Patreon, we have a few different tiers on there. You can join the Discord for as little as $2. So, go and check it out, maybe. And we also do some other content, don't we? Some After Darks.
We have been known, and I guess we've, with no fault of, your guys, I guess it's my fault, but we haven't done stuff for a while because I've been off sick. But now that I'm not sick, we're going to be getting back into it, aren't we?
I don't think you can call it your fault for getting the fucking coronavirus.
I don't know. If you will lick every stranger you come across, then he is.
Shit, yeah. Do you remember when coronavirus? I was going to say launched. Do you remember the company released?
I pre-ordered
it, and people were licking fucking toilet seats and shit.
Yeah, there was like a challenge
fucking
where like people on
the
TikTok
coronavirus challenge. Yeah, well done. You're dead now.
That is bizarre. Hey, so do you guys want a comment of the week?
I do.
Oh, I'd love a fucking comment of the week, Alex Jones.
This is from Valdemar Martinez Jr., who said, "The Summer Games Fest was a cool idea, but I honestly think it was a little more than a glorified calendar. But I think it was a little better than E3 because everyone was trying to one-up each other back when there were more players than just Microsoft, which led to them announcing projects way too early, i.e. Beyond Good and Evil 2, companies putting together demos and trailers that most likely wouldn't represent the end product in the slightest." Of course, talking about Cyberpunk there. But it was so hype, even with those two flaws. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think it was E3 was too hype, or was it good that it forced companies to do this sort of crazy shit?
Do you know what? I'm torn because actually, I don't even know whether I'm torn or not. On the one hand, here's the thing, and we're going to get to some of this later on when we talk about what some other companies have been doing this week to announce and reveal new games. Hype is fun. Hype is cool. Getting excited about video games, even if it is technically just advertising, like even if it's just marketing that you're getting excited about, it's still fun. And everyone got those E3 jitters. Everyone loved taking time off, or I like taking time off at that E3 week to say, I'm going to stay up, I'm going to watch all these press conferences and stuff like that. But Valdemar's absolutely right. Like it incentivized bad practices that we've been paying the price for a long, long time now. And some companies were better for it than others. And there have been games that were released too early. Microsoft fans through the previous generation, forget games being announced too early, games being announced that never came out. Sometimes companies were so keen to get, Scalebound or Phantom, whatever the weird card thing was they were remaking from the OG Xbox. Like they would be so keen to get trailers or titles out there and great headlines that didn't even matter if the game was plausible at that stage. Just fucking announce it.
It was almost like, we have to have something for E3, so fucking get it done.
Yeah, and
which is I guess how we got the God of War trailer as well, right?
Exactly.
We need a God of War trailer for E3. Just fucking make it.
So I think they also do it, I think, because it feels good, right? It feels good to do it and to say it and to make it real for other people.
But that's where I'm torn,
right?
Like it's short-term hype for long-term pain and suffering.
Do you know, I would liken it to when you say to someone, New Year, I've got a New Year's resolution, I'm going to go to the gym. And they're like, oh, well done, you're going to go to, I'm going to the gym 5 times a week. Have you been yet? No, I haven't been yet, but I'm going to go 5 days a week. And then you're like, that's great. Yeah, 6 months later, have you been yet? Nope.
I'm going to go 5 days a week just for this 1 week in July, and that's it for the rest of the year.
It's like a development company making a trailer, and then the game never gets released, and they're like, but we felt good saying it was
But the thing is, like, when it comes to it's like supporting a friend going to the gym, for example, eventually the 10th time they tell you they're going to start going to the gym, you'll go to yourself, yeah, all right, like I see when it happens. As gamers, we're stupid enough. We tell ourselves we should have that outlook, like, yeah, all right, I'll believe it when it happens. But we never do. We always believe the hype.
Oh, yeah.
But I was one of the people who believe, when the Cyberpunk trailer happened and then everyone said, well, hold on, why doesn't the trailer look anything like the game? Why is it so different? And then but some developers and people in the know came out and said, none of the trailers that come out of things like E3 in the early days are representative. If you think they are, you're an idiot. And I was like, well, I'm an idiot, because I always thought that they were a lot more further down the road when they dropped one of those trailers, and you find out it's all fake.
So going back to that God of War, in the Raising Kratos documentary, they were like, oh yeah, we cobbled that like a couple of weeks before E3 came out, and we weren't really sure, like their lighting wasn't finished, their lighting systems, and there's a lot of flaws. And then funnily enough, today I watched a video that came out as of recording. It was, I think it came out 2 days ago or something. The new Gamers video, all about the tragedy of Anthem. And then, you know, and again, remember, like that Anthem, that showcase that they had, that gameplay showcase, and how it wasn't anything really like what came out. It's like, oh yeah, because they fucking cobbled it together. Surprise, surprise. And you know, the same with Cyberpunk. So you're right in the way of saying, oh yeah, you know, we keep on doing it to ourselves. We never fucking learn. But at the same time, dude, if it wasn't for hype, I don't think people would be as invested in gaming as a whole. Like, if you had to ask me, would I prefer an E3 of old or the fucking Summer Games Fest that happened last year, I'd say just give me the fucking E3. Like, just condense it all, because it was so, you know, drawn out. Obviously, this year they're looking to do it a lot more kind of concisely. Also, they don't have the holding cards close to your chest because of, oh, we haven't revealed our consoles yet, and is Sony going to reveal it, or is Microsoft going to reveal it? Who's going to go first, and what's the price going to be? So all of that shit is gone. We're going to have a much better year this year. Do I miss E3? 100%. Do I wish E3 was still a thing? 100%. But I do think that they signaled the end of what they are by opening it up to the public, as shitty as that may sound.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Yeah. And like, between what you just said and what Valdemar said, you're right. Like, Summer Games Fest as an alternative is essentially a glorified calendar, and you're very right in saying that last year it failed to wrangle together all the necessary components in a tight enough time frame for it to represent something that like the E3 used to. But I guess the question also is, like, does it need to? Like, does it matter if Sony and Microsoft's summer presentations, let's call them, are a month apart or 2 months apart? Like, do we need video game companies to go one day after another? I don't know. Is that kind of competition good or bad? Like, that could have been one of the things that forced them to, like, generate things that weren't ready yet, because you need to stand out above your peers that are literally going, in some cases, 4 hours after you. You need to be...
but look what happens when you don't have that, right? If you look at last year, you'd have... Like, you look at the very first Xbox, like, Series X thing that they revealed, and it was like... Who cares? There's the lamest shit that you've ever...
That was poor.
Do you know what I mean? And PlayStation as well. Their first thing, it was poor. It just wasn't good. Whereas if you do have that kind of pressure to perform, then you get those fucking magical times where it's like, oh yeah, fucking Fallout 4 is... Okay, but that's maybe not the best example because it came out a couple of months after. But... You know, you have those memorable moments, those things. Like, I could still say, oh yeah, fucking remember that E3 where this game was revealed and that whole E3 was cool, or that press conference was really shitty or whatever. I quite like the having the pressure on the devs to do that so that we can actually see some cool stuff. Yes, you may get burned by it. I don't know. It's a bit of a give and take, but I'd much rather have... And look, Jamie, to what you said, right? Like, do they have to be on top of each other? No, they don't. They just have to be fucking good, and they don't have to play cat and mouse with each other. But that's what they did last year.
Yeah, but then
they weren't good. They played cat and mouse. It's like, who's going to do what first? Oh, let's give a little bit of info and not reveal much, and then let's wait a couple of months. Like,
I think luckily though for us, the cat and mouse thing is usually a generational thing. Isn't it?
I hope so.
It's because of the Xbox coming out. It's because of the PlayStation 5 coming out. I think we shouldn't really get that this year, because who would be playing cat and mouse with each other over, that sort of thing? It's going to be a bit different. I think I still come down where we were last week with the podcast, which is E3 in like 3 days is ridiculous, because it's too much in a short space of time. Over the course of like a month, with a few weeks either side of that, would be a nice way to package it. And do it all in one go, but more in a more reasonable fashion, because 5 months that they did last year was ridiculous. That was just ridiculous.
That was so stupid, dude.
It was so long.
How long is Summer Games Fest glorified calendar meant to be this year?
I think Keeley said a month. Yeah, Keeley wants to get it all done in a month.
That's perfectly acceptable, I think. That's perfectly acceptable. Like, because that's almost like a nice middle ground, right? Where, as you're saying, Jonesy, like they're not on top of each other, but it's still like contained to a month. You could still say, hey, it happened in July, or it happened in June, or August, or whatever. It's like, fucking cool.
I just think to a certain extent we're hard to please. And I think like we're going to, spoiler alert, we're going to get onto a showcase later on in this podcast. And people are disappointed some people are disappointed by it. And if you really get down to why people are disappointed by it, it's because the company in question didn't show things that weren't ready to be shown.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative? Showing it before it's ready? That's what created the problems to begin with. Because Nintendo fucking took that pill last year or the year before and said, you know what? It's just a logo, but we're still going to fucking show it. And now people are still bawling their eyes out because Nintendo pulled that trick too many times.
I don't think I agree. But the reason I say that is because when Nintendo say we're doing a 1 hour long showcase, people get excited and they're like, an hour long, it's got to have some really cool stuff in it. And then if it's just an hour of mediocre stuff, then you kind of go, well, you could have done this in a bunch of different releases, spread it out a bit more, and not kind of hyped it, in the same way.
Yeah.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It's when NASA go, like, NASA have got a really exciting announcement to make. And every time they do it, I go, aliens!
Nintendo
and every time it's
adjectives like that.
We found a rock flowing through space that was slightly bigger than the last rock we found. You're like, this is so shit.
That's on you. If you look at Nintendo Direct and look at yes, it's easy to get excited by A, how long it's been since the last one, and B, how long it is. Easy to get excited by that stuff, but if you do, it's your fault.
It is my fault, but they've made me this way. They made me like this, Jamie.
Nintendo are super Japanese about this stuff, because if you go back and read any announcement of a Direct, the language they use is so specific. And even the one yesterday, even though they technically lied, they say like, hey, we're going to show you some upcoming stuff about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and games coming to the Switch in the first half of 2021. Yeah. Yes, they lied and they showed some 2022 things, but for people to take that and be like, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, like, do it, get excited, like by all means, but you also can't be disappointed if it doesn't happen. Because
you can.
Okay, you can, and you can. I'll take that back. You can, but like, be disappointed in yourself as much as them, right? I guess, I don't know.
Can I just interject quickly with it? As a quick observation.
Yeah.
With all of our hair going on, we look like some fucking rejected 90s boy band. I love it.
I just noticed I had some Flock of Seagulls thing where like I've got hair drooping down. I'm trying to catch it all in my headset, but it's pouring out.
I'm loving the new look.
At least, you know what, people watching or listening, and at least they now know none of us are breaking the rules, right? We're not going off and getting secret illegal haircuts.
Chris looks well emo like that.
This is my new look, boys. Just get used to it.
The funny thing is,
look 14 from the eyebrows up.
It does make you look younger. It also makes you look. You could be like an anime character.
You could,
or maybe just you're a Nintendo me. That's what you are now.
Okay, hold on, guys, because I just finished 150 mils of Coke, and I need to open up another 150 mils.
God, that's
the problem with small cans.
It's horrible.
It's like me on every long haul flight. Like they give me one of those, and I look at them and I'm like, you're going to be back here in 30 seconds, right? Like, just bring out. I don't know what they come in, like 6 packs, 12 packs. Bring the whole thing out. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a fucking relay race for the next 12 hours.
In my mind, you know what you do, Jamie, is you ask for a Coke, she hands you the can, you look at it, look at her, then she starts to go, you go, no, wait, and then you go, drink the whole thing in one, crush it, hand it back and go, I'll have another, please.
But you never break eye contact, you never blink. You just stare at her like this while it's...
And you crush the can, you throw it at her and you say, another one, bitch.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's the best thing about flying.
What were we doing?
We were talking about Nintendo, but no, fair enough, Jamie. I know what you mean. It is partly on the viewer, aka me, in this instance. But hey, let's talk about something else briefly because I need to hear what you guys have been up to.
The last week.
what you've been playing. Jamie, why don't you take us first? Tell us what you've been playing.
Sure, I can do that. I was just going to quickly say...
Take me, Jamie.
Do you know what I'm going to say? I can't speak this week. I was bullied into being the host. I've had about 7 hours sleep in the last 5 days.
There are some weeks where, might as well tell the people, like, sometimes none of us want to do it. Like, sometimes we will look at each other, and I
often enjoy it, actually. I do enjoy it, but I can't talk today, so I really apologise if anyone's like, why does Jonesy sound drunk? I'm not drunk. I'm just tired.
All right, peek behind the curtain. I asked if I could not be the host today because I was concerned that my voice might not last.
Chris, you do not have to apologise. You have just wrestled with the beast, and you have come out the other side scathed, but you have come out the other side. Jamie, on the other hand...
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest. I get to...
No, I'm only joking.
Anyway,
Jamie, what you been playing?
Well, I was going to give a quick shout out to Control because I think I mentioned last week that I grabbed the Ultimate Edition, as it is now free on PlayStation Plus for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I can confirm I have now finished Control and am ready to dip my toe into DLC waters with the Foundation and then the Altered World Events. AWE.
Well, the Alan Wake expansion.
The Alan Wake expansion. Who knows? Is he going to be in it? Yes, he is. Sorry, Daddy.
With Control, is there a way to take over your what you've played so far from the PlayStation 4 version?
Regrettably, no. This is part of the whole thing we've been talking about for Control for months now, which is that the PS5 version of Control Ultimate Edition is a different game to Control in the eyes of these consoles. So there's no save transfer or anything like that, or it doesn't pick up your PS4 save. So that's a shame, and that's kind of why I had to replay the whole thing. And it was fine. It doesn't hit quite the same on the second time through. But then that's probably stating the obvious. But hopefully I can come back next week with positive things to say about that DLC. We'll find out. In the meantime, though, the thing that occupied a fair amount of my time in the last week is I finally, well, I say finally, it's pretty much only just come out, but I picked up Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Oh, fucking delicious.
Delicious is a good word for it on the Nintendo Switch. Delicious because it's this double whammy of here's this game I never played because it was on the Wii U and I didn't have a Wii U, and apparently it's really good and kind of experimental and does wacky stuff for the Mario formula, and that's fun, so I want to play that. But also Bowser's Fury. I don't know about you guys, but I basically had no idea what that thing was until it was out and people started talking about it. And then when people started talking about it, I was like, I really want to fucking play that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. Like they announced it. I was like, okay, an expansion for a remaster of a game. Okay, but they never really got into the fact that it's this weird hub open world thing.
It's for anyone that doesn't know. It feels weird. So Jonesy fits that and said. So basically, Super Mario 3D World is kind of like. It's what you'd expect. It's like the clashing of the sort of the 2D Mario Bros style and the more 3D style. They've kind of come together, and so it's still got an overworld and courses and lives and power-ups and a timer that you'd expect from a Mario Bros game, the 2D one, but with some of the elements of sort of like a Galaxy or an Odyssey kind of mixed in there, although obviously predated Odyssey. Bowser's Fury is mechanically the same, but it's an open world game. And it's like a 4 or so hour experience. And I know, again, Odyssey had elements of open world design. Like you'd go to New Donk City and you'd be able to run around there and sort of, it was a bit sandboxy and the approach you took to getting the moons was open-ended. But this is literally the entire game is on one map and it's all completely seamless. And you run up to courses and they just start. Like a little title splashes up saying the name of the course you're doing and, which cat shine you're getting. And you just do it, and then it just ends, and you're still in the world running around. It's kind of neat. And then the other element is it's also got this thing where Bowser, as the name would suggest, is in this game. He's really angry, and he sits in the middle of the map, and then on a timer...
He's Jamie, is what you're saying.
He's kind of like me. I mean, we have a lot in common, I'm not going to lie. But basically, every couple of minutes, also like me, he gets really angry and gets up and starts breathing fire and shooting fireballs down wherever you are. It's all dynamic. And if you get enough cat shines, then you take the cat shine to the big cat Gigabell and you turn into a giant 100-foot tall cat Mario and have a big Godzilla fight with Bowser on top of the levels you were just doing, because it's all part of the, it's all seamless.
Right.
It's a weird game, but
it sounds very Japanese.
It sounds Japanese, but you know what the cool thing is? It's like, I was a big Odyssey fan. I was waiting for whatever was next for Mario. I didn't think that this would be the thing that kind of filled that gap that I was looking to fill, but it's ended up being a lot more capable of that than I thought it was going to be. Partly because
That's good.
3D World is just seemingly a really good game, but also because Bowser's Fury is experimental. Like, that's shit we haven't really seen from Mario before, and in a core Mario game. And I appreciate them not necessarily taking risks. I don't think Nintendo are necessarily in that business outright, but trying stuff when they didn't really have to. It's very easy just to make another good Mario game. As Jonesy knows, people love to really like Mario, even when,
Dude, I mean...
Yeah, they do.
Talking about what they've done in the past, like, they could have just re-released Super Mario 3D World, and that's it. Like, they didn't have to do Bowser's Fury. They didn't have to. And they still could have charged the exact same price and people still would have bought it.
Yep. In fact, there are other teams in the Nintendo wing when it comes to remastering or remaking or re-releasing games. They just put the words HD on the end and call it a day. Charge you $60 for it. Good times.
There you go. Yeah.
More on
That's
that,
the thing
more
that
on that
blows my
later.
mind. That's what always blows my mind about Nintendo is they just charge 60 quid and then they all forever. Like, it never seems to come down in price.
It never comes down.
When is it going on sale? No, never. You'll be lucky if it goes on sale within the next 10 years.
You get an email from the Nintendo store being like, this game's on sale, and you go and check the eShop, it's £45. You're like, great, yeah, cool.
How much was it yesterday? $46.99.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Yeah, your only hope is to buy like secondhand off eBay or something, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but that's been me for this week.
Nice.
Well, let's go from wholesome, family-oriented, dinky content to some pure filth.
Dinky.
Because
Dinky, wow.
dinky. That's it's a term of endearment.
Bowser's Fury is not dinky.
Wow.
First up, so I've been carrying on my Hitman kick.
Oh yeah,
As I was talking about last week, I played a bit of. I finished Hitman 1 last week, and so I'm on to Hitman 2.
Did you?
This
Sorry,
week-
Jonesy, did you buy Hitman 3?
No. My whole thing was I'm not going to buy Hitman 3 until I'm back into Hitman and I'm into it. Because what I always do with Hitman games, I get them, I play them for a few hours, and I fall off hard, and then so it's not worth it. This was my rationalization to myself. If I can get through the other two, then and I still want more, then I'll get 3. So yeah, finished 1, and I've played a few missions in 2. Really enjoying it still at the moment. Like, it's funny when you go back to a game that you just get the second time round, and the first time round you're like, this isn't for me, and then you play it again and you're like, it was me playing it wrong. Like, that's how I really feel with the Hitman games. Hitman 2, I think I've just played the is it like the racetrack mission? So I've played Hawke's Bay,
Miami, baby.
That's the one you played at a preview event, right? At E3.
It is exactly. But this time I did it completely different, because rather than my thing in Hitman, which is go in, strangle a whole load of people, sneak around a bit, kind of ignoring what you're supposed to do, and then just grab the target and kill them and try and escape. I've been specifically trying to find and follow all of the story missions. And I've been having a much better time with it. So yeah, yesterday I finished the racetrack mission, which is I managed to kill both people in really cool, fun ways. Like I booted the chick down a hole because you basically convince her that you're this flamingo mascot dude, but you've got some papers that are incriminating, and they take you to the back of it. It was actually really exciting. They take you to the back of a van. I know this is a really old game, so I won't go on too long. But they took me to the back of a van with plastic on the floor, and I'm like, "Shit, son, I'm about to get straight up murdered. This is gonna be interesting." And then she tells the security to piss off, and she's like, Give me the documents, and then you can piss off. So I handed her the documents, and she turns her back, and she's like, "Now go and get out of here, and nothing else will happen." And so I just booted her down the hole that she was standing in front of, and then snuck out. And then I killed her dad in I managed to hack a robot, and it just shot him in the face, which was wicked. But I'm following all these story missions, and I'm really getting to grips with how that game is meant to be played, and I'm really enjoying it. So hopefully I'll stick it out, and then we'll roll on to 3.
Nice.
But I also got Filth. This is going to appeal to some of our audience, not many, but or maybe a lot, I don't know. I kept getting recommended videos on YouTube for other YouTubers playing a game called Booty Calls, which I was like, what is this game suddenly I'm being recommended for? I've never seen I have never seen this type of game before. And when I explained,
I'm sorry, booty calls.
Booty calls. And when I explained the type of game, Jamie was like, "Oh yeah, there's loads of that," and he sent me some links or whatever. But, yeah, so and I didn't know what it was. So I was like, is it as filth as they're making it on YouTube? So I went and had a look at this game, and I kid you not, it is utter filth. It is like anime porn meets gem popping game where you can date girls and sleep with them. But it's on Steam, so I was quite surprised because I didn't think you would be allowed that on Steam. But it's actually quite a fun game in some respects because it's quite adult but funny. And I was playing it for a bit. I played it for about an hour, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually quite funny. Like the writing's humorous. It is filth. Just be warned if anyone wants to go and check it out because it's free, I think, to play." But then you get to a paywall where it's like, "Oh, if you want to carry on playing and see more of the filth, it costs you some serious cash." It's like a mobile game. It's like drop 20 quid, drop 50 quid, drop 100 quid to unlock gems and cash and whatever. And I'm like, I said, "Nah, I'm out. This is ridiculous." But what worried me about that was like how many people are dropping real cash to see big ass anime titties.
You'd be surprised, something, because you say that, right? But if a game gets its claws into you, yeah, you'll sink some money into it. Like,
I think you've got to be a type, like, because I got to that point and I'm like, no fucking way am I putting money into this game. Like,
it depends on how much you enjoy the game, right? Like,
that's true, very true.
Is it any different to dropping some money in Warzone or Apex? Like,
I feel yes, because
it's also the base level is the same thing, though, right?
No, but these games that you cannot play them. Like, you get to a point where they just stop. They kind of go, now you can't play.
Okay.
But also, like, the difference between that and Warzone or something like that is, like, in Warzone, let's say you want a specific, like, weapon skin or operator skin. You go and you get that and you take it out into subsequent Warzone matches with whatever you've just bought. This is the kind of thing where, like, I'm trying to deal with this without being crass, but like eventually, surely, like, is the objective with playing a game like that to get to the point where you can take care of business and then lose interest, or do you just keep playing indefinitely? Like, what's the objective there? And because if the objective there is like to take care of business, then here's the real life hack for you. Here's the cheat. Go and take care of business doing something else for free, and when you come back, you won't care about those anime titties anymore. I promise you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
you're absolutely right. That's the play.
But it depends on the gameplay loop, though, right? Like, hey, if you're enjoying the game, there's nothing wrong with paying for it.
But I think Jamie's right.
I'm saying the reward is gone. Like, as soon as you get that out of your system, the reward's gone.
But I think the reason I think Jamie's right in this, I think they're the way these games kind of work, I guess, is they're hoping that in that moment you want to see a bit more, so you drop some cash, and then you take care of business. You're not interested anymore. Well, you're like, shit, I can't believe I spent 50 quid on this piece of crap.
I think we've all been there before sometimes when we're in the process of trying to take care of business and we get, this idea in our minds, we get tunnel vision almost, where like we're going down in one direction. We're like, no, I need this to take care of my business. And then you get to a point where maybe that thing costs money, or maybe that thing is behind a paywall of some kind.
I've got 2 words for you: OnlyFans. That is their entire business model.
Can I just ask you guys a question? When did you guys become such pussies that you're talking about specific things in veiled?
We got
I'm trying to be good for YouTube.
Hold on, I get coronavirus and I fucking
we're trying to be good for YouTube.
I'm gone for 3 weeks and all of a sudden I've come back to some fucking choir boys. Not fucking.
We're trying to be family
boys,
friendly.
But,
trying to be family
also,
friendly.
Also, we create a distinction between what's in the main podcast and what's in the After Dark, right? anything we censor or don't say here, it's because it all goes full frontal in the After Dark.
This week's After Dark is just us talking about anime titties and people dropping money.
Can we change After Dark's name to Full Frontal? I like that.
I mean,
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. By all means.
Or maybe fucking Ethan of H3, he's got the H3 After Dark.
Everyone does After Dark now. Yeah, they all stole it from us.
But look, I think one of the reasons I mentioned this was because when I mentioned it to you guys before the pod, you brought up a game which we all had seen trailers for and we all laughing about, which was and was like the main reason for me bringing up Booty Calls, which is don't play. It's a waste of fucking money. And if you do play it and then you get in that loop and then you drop cash, I'll feel bad. But Super Seducer 3 was supposed to drop on Steam, and it actually got held up by the censors of Steam, or I suppose the I don't know what you'd even call them. Steam effectively want to make sure that Super Seducer 3 is following all of its guidelines and is not doing anything too dodgy. And in case people don't know, I'm sure most people have seen it, but Super Seducer was
No
what do you call it?
affiliate to SuperShow. Just
no affiliation.
put that out there.
What do you call it? FMV? Is it FMV?
Technically, they still call it that. Yeah.
So yeah, real video of this lank-haired, greasy-looking dude
who's poor Richard.
who's got like the most annoying common Cockney accent, and he rolls up to women and he's like, "All right, my name's Richard. I want to take you on a lovely date. I'm a big player." And then you have to click on dialogue options and stuff, and you can take people out, and it plays you videos of stuff going on. And I think this one though gets a bit more sexy than Super Seducer 2 and 1, which were more dating sims. This is dating sims, and then you get a bit of the. From what I've seen in the trailers, it is like the shittest sort of Channel 5 cable TV softcore porn where they're still fully dressed, but they disappear into another room and get a bit rude and come out and go, "That was fun."
There's
jazz plays, and they come back out
but
sweaty.
no actual titties. From what I gather.
Lingerie, apparently.
Which begs the question, why?
But this is not. Can I just say, this is not a game. This is not.
No,
this is some like.
No. Jones is absolutely right, but I don't think he realizes in what way. Because it's not a game; it's just a meme. That's all it is. When it first came out, I was like so fucking serious about this is my game about seducing women, and I'm going to teach you the fucking core fundamentals of the Dennis method or some shit like that, right?
Oh no!
And then it just became like such a meme. By the time, and he's like, "I'll make another one," and now it's vaulted beyond meme status into a parody of itself. It's mental.
Hang on though. Just to clarify though, everything you said is correct, but it's still a game.
Yes,
this is a game.
Yes, it's still
is it a game?
Yes.
A game. Yes, you do things in the game and it progresses.
It's an interactive video game.
But my issue with this is is it a game? So for example, even the games we're talking about like this, the anime whatever big titty games, they have games in. So they're effectively like games that you can play, like connecting gems, lining stuff up, getting points, unlocking stuff, whatever. And they then attach to it some form of nudity in order to give it like a USP. This is like the opposite. It seems, I haven't played it because it's not out yet. It's like you have all these videos of a scenario that they've gone and pre-recorded. They then put them together in a way that if you click on the right text option at the right time, you progress the story.
Yeah.
It's more like an interactive story. I don't know if I
interactive, like choose your own adventure. Like that's been a genre of video. That's been a genre of video games for about 50 years. Like, what's a Telltale game?
They're not games either.
Oh, so now you see. I'm sorry, Jonesy, but you've just made yourself look a bit silly in front of hundreds of people,
tens of people.
Do you know what? Because at least even with games like Cave, or I don't know what the adaptation was, it like Adventure, was you could say use this. Like option, use this element with this piece of the environment. So this sort of like point and click would become later on. Because in those games it was text based. You could say use the torch with the dark cave, and it would go. You lit the cave. That has more game elements than Super Seducer, from what I can see.
You have choices. There are fail states. There are success states. Like you might not want to call it a video game, but that's it. It is.
Okay, no, I didn't mean to say it wasn't. I'm like, to me, it doesn't seem like it
certainly
is.
It certainly sounded like you wanted to say
no,
it wasn't.
I know, but I don't think, it doesn't seem like it is to me, because I suppose then you're like, well, how far, when is that line? When does it become something that we can call video gaming? When can we say, oh, this is a game, this belongs in E3,
when you don't interact with it?
Yeah, but what about thousands of other people, millions of other people do?
No. Sorry. When the property, like when the media is no longer interactive, when you're just watching it or listening.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Well, fair enough. So even if it was like clicking a button to turn the page in a book, that's a video game. Because my kids play that, or they play them every day on an iPad. You click a button to turn a page, and then it reads more of the story, and you click, and I'm like, that's not a video game. But according to you, it is. No, you clicked a button to interact with it, Jamie. It's a video game.
There's branching choices. That's where the gamification comes in, right? Because you select something, and then depending on what you select, or the the sequence of things that you select, you either get a fail state or a win state. That's a game.
See, I always think of it as having some element of skill involved in a game. So even if you're playing a point and click adventure, the skill is like figuring out that.
Okay,
this
but hold on,
thing
come on,
goes
Jonesy.
over
The
there.
skill here is choosing the right thing to say so that the woman can drop their panties.
Yeah,
Come
fair
on.
enough.
Come
Fair
on,
enough.
mate. Come on. You're just being obtuse now.
No, I genuinely like. I'm interested in what you think. Because I've always thought of those things as not really being games. But yeah, fair enough. If you're right, there are fail states, there are win states, and you've got to figure out the right. So anyway, we'll be streaming Super Seducer 3 at some point in the future.
Well, I was going to say, Jonesy, when are either of you going to fucking stream again? But B, when are we going to see booty calls on the Super Show Jonesy stream?
I don't think. Well, I've deleted it, so there you go. That won't be popping along anytime soon. I will stream as soon as I can actually get. As everyone knows, we're in lockdown at the moment, and streaming and children and a tiny house like mine don't really fit. Like, for people that don't know, this curtain behind here are my stairs, and literally my kid's bedroom is there, and so it doesn't really lend itself to streaming. But that's an aside. Christoph,
Hey, I'm in my son's bedroom. Look at
there
that.
you go.
Hey.
Is that the John
penguin.
Lewis thing?
This is a jelly cat. It's a stuffed penguin for those listening. There you go.
Jellycat, a brand.
Yeah, it's a brand. But
Chris,
yeah,
have you been playing anything? Have you been able to play anything? Have you felt up to it?
mate, let me tell you, like, you almost think to yourself, all right, if I'm sick, if I'm ill, if I've got fucking coronavirus of all fucking things, at least let me game, right?
Yes.
Not a fucking chance, all right? Because for numerous reasons, including the fact that when you get in front of a television or something, your body just goes, I don't want this. No, I don't want this. Just go to bed. Right.
Plus, if you've got like a headache and stuff and looking at lights and flashy stuff,
exactly,
bad,
dude. It just doesn't do well. We've all been sick, and we've all had like bad sicknesses in our lives. Okay, and you know the feeling where you're just feeling so dreadful that all you can muster yourself to do is just sit on the couch, maybe watch TV, but that's very much a passive thing. You cannot bring yourself to do something active, even if it's just active with your brain and your thumbs. It's difficult. And that was me for majority of what I had. I got hit quite hard with COVID. It's funny, like the lead up to it, I kept on hearing about people who kept on getting it, and it's like, it's not too bad. It's like a bad cold or something. It's like, okay, cool. I got it and it fucking wiped me out. It wiped my wife out. It was fucking ridiculous. But anyway, regardless, I didn't have much time to play. So I wish I could come here and list off like 50 fucking games, and I've completed 20 of them and this, that, the other, but it's just not the case.
Oh, if you'd have come back and if you'd have come and said that, everyone would have gone, he wasn't really ill. He was fine.
True.
Yeah,
He's full of
exactly.
shit.
Yeah. All right. So I have played some games. Okay. So I did manage to finish Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, before I got
Nice.
sick, I got to a point where it was only like maybe 2 hours gameplay left to finish it, but I just couldn't find the Squirrel Gaming slot in order to do it. But I did manage to do it while I was still relatively sick. I just thought, you know what, let me just got a bit of energy. I feel up to it. Let me do it. I played that game. I finished that game, and I felt very sick afterwards, and I regretted like booting it up. But anyway, yes, I finished Spider-Man Miles Morales. I've come out of it saying, you know what, it's a good game. Maybe a little bit overpriced for what it was, and certainly not as good as the original Spider-Man in terms of content. And funnily enough, I think the gameplay in a way, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Interesting. Interesting.
I would still recommend it, and I would still say,
hot new trend developing on the Super Show podcast this week: being wrong.
wow, wow, okay. Not wrong, but there you go. Do you ever find when Jamie thinks he's got it fucking right, he doesn't want to hear any differing opinion, but he won't go so far as to say like have an argument about it. He'll just be like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong.
It's because he knows that he's outnumbered on that front, so he's not even going to go there. As Chris said, it's a fun game. It's a cool game. It's a good
It was
game.
also like to be fair, like we would be retreading old ground because Jonesy and I did battle out a little bit on the Miles Morales front.
Yeah.
More so on the value for money angle and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'll be honest, like I
cool
don't
game.
see how you can see Miles Morales as a regression in terms of gameplay, because for me it was fundamentally very similar but with things added to it.
Yeah, but I think it might just be
like too much? Like the Venom stuff too much?
The pacing. So the Venom stuff is really fucking cool, right? But I think maybe it's a term of the pacing because you've got a much shorter game. So it's just kind of like, here's this new thing, here's this new thing, here's this new thing.
True.
Whereas...
Yeah, they rattle through that, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of rattle through it. But then on the flip side of that, like, you're getting all these cool new abilities and they're coming at kind of like a breakneck speed, but you don't have that much variety to use them against. Right?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah,
you've got like 2 to 3 different kinds of enemy types. You've got the fucking rocks on dudes. You've got the underground, and then you've got some like thugs or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah,
and it's
but
like,
then
yeah,
I don't know
fine.
that that's something that the OG Spider-Man did that much better, and I can certainly remember, or perhaps more damningly, fail to remember lots of the things that I just straight up didn't use in the original Spider-Man, like some of the gadgets in that thing. I'm like,
totally.
I couldn't even tell you what they were.
Yeah, in terms of the
I don't mind
gadgets,
that being streamlined,
definitely streamlined. And even in Miles Morales, I only used like 1 or 2 of the gadgets.
There was one I didn't know I needed to use until I think it was like a challenge or a trophy. I think it's like a vortex thing, like a black hole that sucks people in. And I was like, I don't even think I've got that. I had to go back and get it like after I finished the game.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, it's a good game. It's a good story. It's a bit light in terms of characters. Okay, so Spider-Man, you had the Sinister Six and Doc Ock and all of that, and there was a lot of varied kind of different games. In this, I mean, you've got the Rhino, you've got the Tinkerer. Okay, what else have you got?
I mean, you also don't really have... say, but I can think of like a handful more people. Maybe,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Sure, 1 or 2. But yeah, it's really good. It's really good. But I don't know. I think that the balance was off. Like, all the ingredients were right, but the quantities were maybe off. Like if you equate it to baking a cake or something. But then again, it's not like the cake came out and it flopped. It was still a delicious cake. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Round in circles we go. The other game I played... Okay, I'll tell you why this happened, okay? Because I went to go play a game on my Switch, and my Switch did that thing where, because I haven't played in like fucking, I don't know, 4 months, it didn't switch on. It was just completely dead. And I couldn't even... when it gets to that point, if you plug it in and try and switch it on, it doesn't switch on. You almost need to you need to juice it for a couple of hours before it accepts a switch on thing. So I was like, okay... So I set it to charge, and I was like, oh, I'm really fucking bored, but I don't want to get out of bed, and blah, blah, blah. So I picked up my phone, I went to the Google Play Store. Lo and behold, what was there? Magic the Gathering Arena. Because I'm a fucking nerd.
Oh, Chris. Oh, Chris.
Don't Chris me, because I fucking love it. I love Magic the Gathering. And
do you? I did not know that about you.
Big time. Yeah, big time. It was one of these things that I got into it at school because everyone was kind of getting into it. So, it's almost like a trend and a peer pressure thing. So I got into it.
The nerds bullied each other into playing Magic the Gathering.
No, funnily enough, it was not just the nerds that were kind of getting into it at the time. But what happened was everybody fell off it like after 2-3 weeks. And I kind of kept on with it because I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really, really smart card game. But anyway, so MTG Arena is kind of the online version of it, where you play the game gets you, the more you play and the challenges you do, the daily challenges, weekly challenges, etc., you get your gold, use the gold to buy packs, get more packs and cards and rarer cards, or more powerful, blah, blah, blah. You get, the loop from like Hearthstone, I don't know, I assume Gwent, whatever it is.
Artifact,
hell yeah. But yeah, just something about Magic is just really fucking solid in its gameplay and its design. And I've really been enjoying it. I've been quite addicted to it, actually. Yeah, it's cool. I've just been playing it on my phone.
What's the monetization like on it? Is it aggressive?
I'd say it's about what you'd expect it to be for this game. I wouldn't say it's heavy-handed, but it's not generous either. It's like you can progress, but really what you want to do is maybe spend a bit of money into it. But then again, like, I don't blame it. Like, if you're playing Magic the Gathering in real life, you go to a store, you buy the packs, you get the cards. Like, this is better because it's free. and you can get up to a certain point just by fucking grinding and playing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I haven't played against any other people yet. I've just been doing all the kind of AI challenges and whatever. Just kind of want to build out my decks a bit more before I decide to go against other people. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And I think if you like card games and if you like Magic the Gathering, it's definitely, it's a no-brainer pickup because it's on desktop, I think it's on consoles, and it's on, well, mobile now. Yeah. But the other game that I've been playing, fellas, and I played it with both of you fellas.
Yeah, you did.
This was like maybe one of the first time since getting COVID that I was like, I can play games socially. And that was Deep Rock Galactic with you two. And Steph was meant to join us, but he was being a bit of a scumbag that day. So
scumbag Steph.
He was too busy sinking all his money and time into booty calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, Deep Rock Galactic, a fun little game. Free on Games Pass that we were playing on. But yeah, it was cool.
It was a good time. In fact, some of the most fun we had, Chris, was actually, ironically, after Jonesy left, where we discovered a few things that we didn't know we could do.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, not because you weren't there, Jonesy, to be fair. I mean, that's, Jonesy makes it sound like we don't have a good time when you're there.
No, I meant like what cool stuff did you discover that you could do?
We found a dance floor and a bar. Literally just that in the ship. Like so Deep Rock Galactic, for those who don't know, is you play as like mining dwarves in some fucking spaceship or something, and you activate a mission, you go down, you got to collect some ore and fight these like bugs, and that's just the core loop. And then you can upgrade your fucking axe and your guns and shit. It's cool. It's quite simple. It's easy to get into. And then you go back to this like hub area, which is your ship where you can upgrade all your stuff. But yeah, one of the things, so Jonesy had to go and we were like, okay, well, we're not going to jump into another mission. So we just started like, we were just chatting to each other, Jamie and I, and we started walking around the spaceship, blah, 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 and we found out that there was a jukebox. So you interact with the jukebox, it starts playing this like cheesy music. You can't choose the music, it's all random, but it's like pretty cheesy, but pretty like head boppy. And there's a little dance floor area. And if you're in the dance floor area, it goes from first person view to third person view, and you just start dancing. And
that was 3 hours of your evening was there. Just,
I mean, it wasn't
dancing.
3 hours, but it was.
Yeah.
It was a good more time than we needed to spend on that dance floor.
Next to the dance floor, there's a bar, which I think we'd seen the time before that we played, but we weren't at a high enough level to buy stuff, I don't think. So I went up, and now I was, so I could buy a round of drinks, and like these drinks would appear, and it pours enough for everyone in the lobby at the time. So it was pouring drinks for Chris and I. And you could take the drinks onto the dance floor and just dance around with your drinks. And when you finish your drink, you just throw your cup wherever you want.
Yeah, and then we were throwing the cups at each other and catching them, which was kind of cool. It also reminded me of what we used to do at ATG after hours. Not drink beer and dance and throw the beers at each other. But we used to, little peek behind the curtain, when no one was there, it was us and usually Martin Ruffle from the Just Interesting podcast, the Rough Dog. We used to get lemons and just stand in different corners of the room and just pelt these lemons at each other, catching them. But eventually, the more you throw it, and sometimes you miss it and it hits a computer or something, and you think you've damaged like a $5,000 Mac Pro or something. It's like, nah, it's fine, just brush it off. Eventually, this lemon starts losing its integrity. And the more you throw it at each other, eventually you just got lemon all over your hands.
Yeah.
We did it with oranges, tangerines.
Horrible
Good
feeling
times.
catching a fruit like that and like being able to feel that the skin's intact, but everything on the inside is just pulp and mush.
Yeah, and you know that it might come back to you one time, and that outer shell is just gonna fucking explode.
You always had to try and catch it away from your body just in case
Yeah,
Good times.
I don't think you weren't involved in a lot of those, were you, Jones?
I never played fruity throw, but I'm glad that I missed out.
Oh, it was
on
so
that
good,
one.
and you had to throw it fucking hard. Like that was the whole thing, man.
It reminds
It's good
me of that.
times.
Did you ever play that egg throwing game where you have to throw an egg to someone else, and you start off like a foot apart, and then you start 2 feet, and then you go further and further. Yeah.
It was
That
similar
sounds
in
a bit like
theory, yeah.
Yeah, good times. But yeah, that was Deep Rock Galactic, and that was a lot of fun. And it it makes me want to play more games with you fellas, and hopefully that'll be on the cards now that I am 90% recovered.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think Deep Rock Galactic is a cool game. The only thing with it is I want the differentiation between the different classes to be more exaggerated.
Yeah, I kind of thought that as well, but then you realize, oh, it's a Games Pass game and it's for free, so it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, for sure. It's still a fun game, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess they've got to balance like the different combinations of players, right? Like that can be a single player game if you really want it to be. And so it's kind of like this thing where every class has things that make life easier, but you'll never get to a situation where if you don't have a certain class in your lineup, then you can't proceed, because otherwise it is a minimum 4-player game, and that's a very different, ball game.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing that's kind of missing from that list that you might expect from someone like myself is Dota.
Of course.
I didn't manage to get playing any Dota. That just seemed like way too, even now kind of thinking about it, might be too strenuous a thing. It's kind of lock yourself into a game for 40 to 60 minutes, like high intensity, just fucking focus. The way I'm feeling is just like, nah, not on the cards. But fellas, the reason I bring it up is because there was some interesting Dota news if you are into that kind of thing, because Netflix has announced that they are releasing a Dota 2 anime, of all things, coming out, fucking strange, coming out on March 25th. Who fucking knew? A Dota anime, but there you go.
It's the new thing, isn't it? Video game anime adaptations do seem to be the new trick.
So I think Netflix did it with Castlevania as like, hey, let's try this out, and it was actually really fucking successful. I think they did like 3 seasons or something. I don't know if they're going to do another one, but you got to understand, on Netflix, 3 seasons of anything is quite an achievement.
True.
When it's a Netflix made thing, because they've got these kind of things where it might be a critically acclaimed show, but if the stats show a decline, they'll just cancel it. They don't give a shit. They're just like, no, 2 seasons, that's all you're getting. You don't have an opportunity to wrap anything up. Just fuck you. It's done. So. But anyway,
they are brutal with that. And that's one of the issues people have with you watching a show and you're like, oh, this is a good show. I'm sure it'll be back. And you're like, nope. And then everyone's like, what? I thought that was well received, did well. I did it with Altered Carbon. Loved the first season, was lukewarm on the second season, was like, oh, I wonder if they'll pull it back for season 3, no season 3. Yeah. It's gone. It's never coming back.
And not only that, no season 3 and no chance to like wrap it up. Because at least sometimes, not always, but sometimes with the networks, they're like, your show's going to be cancelled, so you better wrap it up in the next 4 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway,
Isn't that what happened with Twin Peaks? Was they were intending loads more, and then they went, nah, you've got about, and then they were like, Jesus Christ, it was like halfway through the season, it got like canned or something, didn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that. Because season 2 was really long, wasn't it, compared to season 1?
Yeah. There was a really cool show called Jericho. Like not an old show at all. Jericho's fucking cool, and it ended on such a cliffhanger after the first season. Like basically 2 warring So the premise was like nukes fall on the states, and there's nuclear fallout, and blah blah blah. And there's a still town of Jericho that's kind of safe from the fallout, but they survived the nukes. And then there's a neighboring town, and then these 2 towns are going to go to war with each other. And just as they're about to go to war with each other, it's like boom, end of season. And then it wasn't renewed for a second season, and there was this campaign to send like peanuts to tell the network that they were nuts for canceling it. So the network was like, okay, we'll give you half a season so you can wrap up the story, but it's also, if you really fucking like this, then let us know with ratings and we'll carry on. And they never got the ratings that they wanted. So yeah, it was like 1.5 seasons, which is a shame because that show is fucking baller. But we digress. Dota 2 anime.
What is Dota 2 this season? The anime going to be?
So it's only 8 episodes, okay? And they haven't committed or said anything with regards to like, hey, it's going to carry on. But I think it will be quite popular. Like Dota 2 as a game might be on a decline, but as a viewership thing on their esports, I think it's still very solid. I think more people watch Dota esports than actually play Dota 2. and just judging by when I saw the trailer on YouTube, it was robust numbers, like 2.5 million or something. Like, I think it'll do well. Anyway, it's called Dragon's Blood, and it follows. If you know Dota, there are two characters called One's called Dragon Knight, another one's called Mirana, and it's going to focus on them. So Dragon Knight and Mirana face demons and gods with unexpected allies in an all-new anime series on Netflix. Discover heroes, both old and new, come to life. 8 episodes. There you go. So it's the same studio that did Legend of Korra and the Netflix Voltron. So it looks pretty good. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but it's a bit of an unknown quantity. The main trailer is going to come out on March 2nd. And then, like I said, the series premiere will be on March 25th.
Okay.
So if you're into Dota, if you're into anime, if you're into Netflix, hey, well, that's the fucking trifecta for you right there.
How many of those boxes do you tick? 2, 3? I'm not sure how you feel about anime.
You know, I used to be big into anime, actually. Used to be very big into anime, but I've kind of fallen off it. I used to be... I'd say I'm more mainstream anime now, like casual watcher. But I used to be quite like, oh, I'm going to watch some fringe shit about this, like little girls who think they're dragons and shit. Not like that, but you know.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah, this is going to be an
but
one,
like you talk about like the more mainstream stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. I'm really into
Avatar.
I never watched Avatar actually, but yeah, there you go.
Oh, what's the thing you watch with the big naked men?
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Oh, sure. Yeah, oh, yeah. That's.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about. He was talking about the other one.
Yeah.
That's for the After Dark.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
that's for the full frontal.
People like Attack on Titan, from what I gather.
Attack on Titan's great.
One Punch Man. People like One Punch Man. People
One
like
Punch Man is fucking sick, dude.
People like the pirates who could with the
One
stretchy
Piece.
arms. One Piece.
Yeah. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Neon Genesis. Yep, I do hear that one.
The thing I always find a little bit odd about like adaptations, maybe I'm wrong, Chris, but like so with Dota,
Yeah.
because obviously let's say Attack on Titan, for example, is all around the story, right? The whole thing behind the series is like the story is finding out what the hell Titans are, where they come from, what's going on, who this person is.
Yeah,
and it's constantly about intrigue and story, and it's grown out of that. And they've had a couple of video games out of it. But when you have something like Dota 2, is there an idea as to like what the story's going to be? Because when you have an adaptation for me of a game like that, you could basically do anything, right? You can kind of have the story do anything. Does it matter what the story is, or is it just that as long as it's using those characters and in that world?
Yeah. Okay. So Dota 2 does actually have a story, and it's quite a complex weaved story, but it's not anything that they kind of put it into your face. It's more like, hey, if you listen to item descriptions and how the characters interact with each other, there is an overarching story and everything, right? And that's fine. Like, you either into it or you're not. I guess with something like this, like an adaptation of Dota on Netflix, it's probably more a case of a novelty of saying, here's the characters that you play as in the game in a fucking anime adventure. Like, just watch it.
Is it going to be as simple as like, here are some ancients, the good guys will defend them, these guys will attack them. Then they like, whatever happens off the back of that.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I'm expecting like a decent story that kind of has elements of what you would expect from the main game with like, I don't know, maybe it'll be like, oh, look, he's holding that fucking item that I buy that gives me fucking +5 strength or whatever, you know, like bullshit like that. But yeah, no, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be cool. And I wonder how well it will do with like non-Dota fans. Probably
It's going to be interesting.
not at all.
Every episode, there's going to be a point where, if it's true to Dota, there's an antagonist, a protagonist, running toward each other with a small group of people with them, and then they'll get to a point they'll be fighting this epic battle, and then they'll lose all their little people. So the good guy will turn around and go, whoa, and run away quickly, and then they'll be overtaken by some more people.
Yeah, they'll
turn
be like
around.
they just disappear. They'll just disappear, and it's just like, oh yeah, Dragon Knight's rage quit. So
Yeah.
don't expect him back.
And then the team that lost kind of stood around at the end of the fight, and he says, "I'm reporting you for feeding. I'm sorry, but like
Yeah,
that's what's called, right, Chris? Feeding.
yeah.
Feeding,
And they're going to type GG fast finish.
Yeah.
Just fucking finish.
Or
the
like
game.
at the start of the fight, they're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, these lot are Russians. We're gonna lose."
I'd love it if they have a character that just comes and just starts like fucking everything up and starts like just sprouting Russian. I'd laugh so much. That would be so good. But I doubt that they would do that.
Some of it. I must admit, most of my experience of like anime from games is with my kids, where they play a game or watch a show, and then there's like a toy version of it, and they try and like force in the game elements into the anime, and it's really weird. Like Bakugan, as an example, was like they're trying to squeeze in the video game elements into, or the game elements into the series, and it gets a bit weird.
Do you know how I do it? And Chris would probably roll his eyes, but like I genuinely think like this would be an interesting way to handle a video game adaptation. Is essentially it'd be a comedy series, an animated comedy series, where it was almost like Toy Story, where like the characters in Dota 2 are like these like the conscious like things with their own personalities, but they're also aware that they're characters within a game that are being controlled by humans that they have to not pretend to not be aware of. So you can almost have like
Wreck-It Ralph.
Like their life between
matches. It's like Wreck-It Ralph, yeah, like Jonesy kind of got it. And like the meta things that we were discussing just then, like being aware that like the people you're up against are from a different country, or that they're really good, or like feeding, or someone's AFK, like those almost go from being jokes that gamers make to jokes amongst the characters. And
you see, I'd love that as well, but then I also like the fact that they've just got this like, no, it's just a serious story in the world of Dota.
Yeah. And like, fair enough, that could be. I'll watch the trailers and see if anything.
It's nice animation, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But it just reminds me of every time we used to have discussions about esports for when people used to come to us at ATG, and they were like, "Oh, esports, we can really like market against that. What can you guys do for esports?" And I'm like, well, I mean, fucking, there are things you could do, but the idea that I kept on coming back to was like, just make fucking scripted content around esports players. And my whole idea was like, hey, have a fictional esports player who is like a office style mockumentary of him just fucking doing stupid shit, trying to get into teams and whatever, but he's not actually that good, but somehow he stumbled into the main role. I'd love to see something like that.
We just didn't. The guy from Always Sunny just did the game dev side of that, didn't he? With
Mythic Quest, which is really fucking good, by the way. Like, really, really good.
So who knows? Maybe in the future, Chris, that that might happen. And
I'll wait for my royalties. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't hold your breath, but you never know.
But when's it coming out? When is the Dota anime starting?
March 25th. So there's an announcement trailer that's already out. There's a teaser trailer that should be out by the time the podcast goes up. Main trailer coming out March 2nd, and series premiere March 25th. So it's all happening like really quickly. And the thing is, like, no one in the Dota community knew this was happening.
Right. Which I like that. I do like that. Cool. We talked about earlier about how things get cheekily pushed out way too early, but there is something to be said of like, this thing's coming out and it's coming out next month. That just gets you super psyched for, I can't believe they did this. It's so cool.
It's a different kind of hype. Like, it reminds me, I mentioned it earlier, but it reminds me of Fallout 4. They announced it at the E3 and they're like, oh yeah, coming out this year, like in 3 months time. And it's like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's often because it's unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say it didn't negatively impact their sales or interest in it. If anything, doing it that way maybe bolstered it a bit. I don't know.
Yes.
Like there is something to say for a drawn out process where you get a lot of people to kind of fucking understand it and this, that, the other. And like you look at Cyberpunk and how many copies they sold, because it's like, yeah, well, that was a fucking on pre-order for like 2 years.
True, yeah. But do you know who are really, pretty much are very good at not dragging it out and giving it to you pretty close to the date at which things are released.
Yeah.
It is
Maybe.
Nintendo. They're good at it sometimes, bad at it at other times.
I think they're pretty good at it. I think they're genuinely pretty decent at it. I often think it's always like a few months away, or it's in the next half of the year. It's not often that they're like 4 years down the line. You've got a new Mario game.
Although,
they
yes, I generally agree with you, and certainly but then they've been much better at that recently. But they have even in the last couple of years, made the mistake of very prematurely announcing things that still haven't returned to the limelight, much to people's...
Two of which are going to be fucking...
Yeah.
Let's
involved.
Let's keep it positive because...
are you talking about the Nintendo Direct, Alex Jones?
I'm talking about the Nintendo Direct that was put out by Nintendo yesterday, and it was almost an hour long of... Well, I was going to say Nintendo goodness, but I think reaction has been lukewarm. Is that fair to say, lukewarm, or has been?
I think
not sort of like overwhelmingly positive.
There was a person on Twitter, going by the handle @HotPanic, that I think summed it up.
I saw his replies, his comments.
Summed it up quite well in saying, "What a delightfully average Nintendo Direct."
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. It was delightful, but it was still average. And it was the Nintendo Direct.
I can get behind that.
But I'm sure you guys were super psyched for this coming up. Well, not too psyched. Let me not blow it out of proportions. But you were both excited for it, and there were lots of WhatsApp messages last night when you were talking about it.
Fully, concede that I was excited.
Yeah,
Should we do it? Should we go through some of them?
Yeah, sure. But hold on. I will say that anytime there is an actual Nintendo Direct, I think that is cause for excitement.
Right.
But funnily enough, I think my expectation was pretty tempered with this. I mean, obviously, I put out a tweet saying like, it would be cool if these things were on it, but I was pretty tempered. I wasn't overly disappointed by things that were not in it, if that makes sense.
Sure. But I think one of the reasons that people like me were expecting maybe a little bit more, I think people said it was a bit average, was because it was 590 days since the last one, which is quite a long time.
Almost crazy. To think they went through the whole of 20...
over 2 years?
It's 19 months.
Just under, yeah.
It was September 2019, so all of 2020, everything Nintendo did was like a mini direct or a third-party showcase or like a Pokemon-specific, all that stuff they do that's not an actual direct. That's what they were doing. So
that was 590 days. I know people that imagine like fucking hell, yeah, whatever.
but like it's a valid point because like you think to yourself, okay, they've got to have a reason to bring back this format after so long, and we haven't got there yet. But you look at what people would consider the highlights, the big top-level takeaways on this direct, and I don't know if they warrant bringing it back. I don't know.
I don't think they are. Like, it's mad, okay? So since the last direct, we were introduced to the new generation of consoles. The new generation of consoles came out, and they've still been out, and they've had their own controversy coming out of it. Like, the world has changed since the last Nintendo Direct. And then it's almost like they come back and they're like, hey, Nintendo... First of all, the way that they announced it, like, Nintendo Direct tomorrow.
I do like that, though. I do like that.
I like it as well because it's just
super dry.
So blasé, yeah.
It's very Nintendo in a weird way. But yeah, and then it's like, Jamie's right. Okay, that's fine. But it's been such a long time, like... There needs to be something that like makes it a fucking memorable thing.
Yeah.
You know what's memorable from what they showed off last night? The things that aren't there as opposed to the things that are. That's what's memorable.
What I found weird about that was that they mentioned some of the stuff that wasn't there, which was weird. Like I don't know why, but I just maybe don't mention it.
That's also kind of a Nintendo thing, though.
Very Nintendo.
They're very much like,
maybe.
Oh, we don't have anything to show, we don't have anything to announce, but just want you to know we're working on a Zelda game, or we just want you to know we're working on something, and it's like, oh, okay, you didn't need to tell me, that's fine.
Yeah, they love doing that though.
Maybe.
And it's I guess the other note going into this was that like Nintendo have a lot of anniversaries coming up. And as we saw with what they did with Super Mario, or have been doing with that over the last 6 months or so, like Nintendo seemed to have been in the spirit of celebrating these anniversaries with some fun announcements and fun products and some fun games. And I think they still will come back around to that for certain series.
Yeah, there's still time. I mean, you know,
we
got the whole year ahead of us.
But I think some people maybe thought that the timing and the way these things aligned with, hey, Direct's returning, and it's also, for example, The Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary. That there might be some.
But do you think that this is maybe just like the Band-Aid Nintendo Direct? They're like,
I did wonder that
in such a long time. Pressure's enormous. Like, let's just fucking do something. There you go. Now we've done it. Now just look forward to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
But then did they need to like? Do they need to like bring it back as like, oh, we're really sorry these have been gone. We're bringing it back. Because they've done quite a lot of good stuff with the smaller ones, the minis. They did the 35th Mario announcement.
Yeah,
what was it like 6 months ago?
Like
they don't need.
You can't do a 50-minute mini direct though. So maybe they would just
but break it up, break it down into multiple ones. So they could have done like,
but then like
3 over the next.
You look at the release dates of these things, and it's like, okay, like do one this month and one next month, and maybe there are weird things around third party like deals and when they have to.
But I would have said one do one earlier. Like they should have started like beginning of the year if they were going to do that. I would have said that whole time. Release thing should have been a bit different. It's not a bad thing, I suppose, to do it.
I think this is catch up. Is what this is.
Yeah,
this is like last year we only focused on like smaller minis and directs and Animal Crossing and Nintendo indies, and that's all we really focused on. And it's like, oh shit! But in the meantime, all of these fucking games have been like in development and they're gonna come out soon. What are we gonna do? Fuck it, let's just make another Nintendo Direct.
Stick them all
50
together.
minutes. There you go. That's kind of probably what it is.
Should we go through some of the announcements then?
I think go through the bigger ones than the smaller ones, because you know, like who I'm sure people care about Famicom Detective Club coming up May 14th.
Do you know what? I've already seen some people and heard from some people that are very excited, or at least curious about the fact that Famicom Detective Club is returning, translated into English on May 14th.
And that's for those who don't know, that's one of those games that are not, according to Alex Jones, then it's not a game.
No, it's not a game. It's not a video game.
Not a video game.
From what I could tell of that though, I thought that seemed more like a. I've never played like Famicom Detective Club, but it seemed more like a point and clicky adventure type thing.
No, it's not. Is
it not like that?
It's branching dialogue options. That's all it is.
It's more of a.
Fuck that! I was a little bit excited about
Phoenix
this as well,
Wright, didn't it? To me, at least, I don't know.
Yeah,
although Phoenix Wright
obviously
has the courtroom scenes, which.
Yeah, and I don't know if you collect evidence and shit like that, but yeah.
See, I love it. I love a old school travel around the world, fly about, like point and click type deal. And I thought, if this is like that, then that'll be quite cool. Now you've told me it's just some branching option dialogue bullshit. I'm out. I'm just going to tell you now, I'm out.
I don't know much about those games, to be honest. But that
yeah,
announcement wasn't for us. I mean, like,
go on, Jamie, go
like
on.
We don't play Smash, for example, but new characters coming to Smash is always something of a big deal. Pyra and Mithra of Xenoblade Chronicles fame have both had their invitations. I just mainly wanted to say how weird it is that we've gotten to the point where characters who can talk, because not every character in these games can talk, are now acknowledging they're going into Smash and referring to it as Smash. Like, it's so weird seeing someone from Xenoblade going, I got my invitation to Smash. And it's like, what? Hang on. What, we're just calling it its nickname now?
Yeah, and can we just take a second to talk about the voiceover work in Xenoblade Chronicles?
The dude's Northern.
But it's so weird, and I thought it was like Scottish or something, wasn't it?
He sounded not. He was like, Hitman, where's my invitation to Smash? I thought I wanted to go into the game. It's like,
was that Rex when they're like saying that he was going to make it in? But then they did it. They did a really. I maybe it is like a very Japanese thing, but when they have like the trailer, the game footage, and then they have like really sort of dramatic music over the top with people mouthing stuff that you can't hear, no in-game sounds, so it's just like da 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 da, and they're like running around, and then that random VO of going, I'm going to Smash. It was so weird. It was
dude,
like
that's the fucking perfect storm of like Nintendo, how they do things, because Nintendo make trailers where they just strip out all the sound effects a lot of the time.
They're so bad.
Square Enix, like, do you remember that the 1 year where we all thought the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers were broken?
Yeah.
Because the audio seemed wrong. It was like, this doesn't make sense.
But that's what I'm saying. So
it?
You've got the Nintendo way of doing things. You've got the Japanese way of doing things. You fucking, the overarching Japanese way of doing things. And then you add in the fact that like the Xenoblade Chronicles has this really odd audio voice work. I mean, I'm sure some people love it, but yeah, it's weird. And you just put that all together, and it's just like, this is strange.
It was very strange.
It was strange, and I'll be honest. As Jonesy can attest, as someone who tried to watch the direct on catch up and maybe didn't get as far through it as he would have liked. The rest of the first half, maybe let's say the first third of this direct was strange, but they did roll out some, let's say some logical third party games, some of which I was kind of surprised weren't already on the platform. Fall Guys being one of them. That's coming to the Switch in summer. Outer Wilds, obviously a very well reviewed and critically acclaimed game. Also coming out in the summer.
That to me sounds like a good Switch game. Like, I can see myself getting Outer Wilds on the Switch.
Sure.
Yeah, like a 22-minute loop. You know, you could pick it up for 22 minutes.
Yeah, and it's you play it, you sit there, you can play it and be like, oh, I'm finding out what's gone on, and then you loop and you do it again. Like, some games for me are like
same
not
with Fall
Switch
Guys
games.
though. Perfect fit for a Switch.
Yeah,
perfect fit.
Yeah, although I will say, Jonesy, you don't really need to find out what's going on in the Outer Wilds if you watch the trailer that Nintendo did for Outer Wilds, because the fucking direct voiceover guy decided to explain the entire the way the game functions over the top of the trailer. Like, you're not really meant to know it's a time loop until you start playing and find out. Like when the sun supernovas for the first time, that's part of the mystery.
Yeah,
I can attest to that because I sat on a 2-hour live stream not understanding that game.
Well, I knew that already
because
obviously when you guys streamed
you and
it.
Steph just fucking clueless.
we were convinced we were playing one of the worst games of the year. Like, what the fuck is this thing? And then you come out of it, and it's like every genius video games journalist is like, "Why the Outer Wilds is the most intelligent, surprising video game of the year?" Me and Steph were just like, we swam into the big fish's mouth and died.
Didn't you bump into the sun as well?
Yeah, we flew into the sun. We did everything. And every time you died, you went back and you're like, oh, what a weird game.
Man, I
jeez.
Not just now with this, but I've been on a fucking nostalgia bent with our fucking ATG live streams.
Yeah.
I wish I could resurrect them, even if it's just a channel that was just the fucking live streams. I fucking love it.
Me too. Anyway,
but going back to Switch, like, some games work, and I think this will work. When you say to me like Witcher 3 is coming to Switch, Skyrim's coming to Switch, I want to be sick in my mouth a little bit. Yeah, because I'm like, these are not the ways to play those games.
Yeah.
But this seems like a fit. Fall Guys seems perfect. Like, you know, it's cute and dinky. Just like the Switch.
Cute and dinky, just like
I guess another sort of like subgenre of games that seems to be finding a bit of a home on the Switch lately is the Musou games. After we had the critically acclaimed Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Samurai Warriors 5 is the next to join the battle. That's coming in summer.
It's got a cool art style.
It did look nice. Nice.
Also, I think Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity has also got some DLC coming up, but it's content DLC rather than story DLC.
Yeah, like new weapons for certain characters and things like that seem to be the focus. But yeah, that was another announcement from
as like
from the direct.
A season pass or some shit.
Yes, the Mana games are still all coming out. This time it was Legend of Mana, which I believe was the PS1 title. That is also coming out on Switch on June 24th. So people who like Mana, rejoice.
And there are a decent amount of them out there, but just none of us, I guess.
None of us. Do you know what else that applies to, Chris?
Tell me.
Monster Hunter. Because we don't play that game,
Rise.
but boy, do really fucking like it. People really fucking like it. Chris, you're right. Monster Hunter Rise, which has already had a demo on the Switch, I guess if anyone wants to play it and figure out if it's for them. That's coming out on March 26th. Pretty decent looking trailer, I thought. Like, a couple of things I looked at was like, man,
Dude, let me tell you about that fucking trailer. So I try and work this out with me. Does it seem like they've got? I don't know if it's part of the story or if it's a particular mode that's called Rampage, but it's talking about Attack on Titan earlier. It's kind of like that. Like, you've got a home base and the monsters come and attack you. That kind of gets away from like one of the things that I dislike about Monster Hunter is that like the monsters are just fucking sleeping and you go start hacking at its shins. It's like, hey, in this one, guess what? They're attacking your home. Okay, damn right, I'm going to fuck him up now.
I'm in.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's all we needed. We needed them to show some aggression.
I just needed a wall and a monster fucking coming over the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looked interesting in a way that kind of got me more interested in Monster Hunter than anything else had in the past. Probably still not going to fucking play it, but
yeah.
I think
Sorry,
Sorry, mate, go on.
No, you go for it.
Oh,
I was just going to say, like, a Monster Hunter game where they said, where the idea was you're at home in your village or whatever, and then a monster attacks it, and then you and a band of people get together and have to fight the monster to defeat it, to save where you... Like, that to me sounds like a much cooler concept than, bit hungry, mate, you can make a tasty stew of a leg of that big old griffin thing lying out there and asleep. Has it got a family? Yes, it has. Is it sentient? Yes, it is. But go and smash it to bits and cook it. Like, that is a... I'd much rather play the... protect your fat village, protect your settlement sort of angle than...
It's funny, isn't it? Because that trailer almost sells you on an idea of a game that Monster Hunter Rise isn't. In that you'd want... Like, I would play the hell out of a game where a Monster Hunter monster breaks into a village, and it's actually like an MMO where all the people in the village are playable characters.
Oh, that'd be wicked.
That would be so cool.
Mate,
yeah.
Evolve MMO where the monster is not person controlled, breaks into your village, and you've all got to fight it to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's
You guys have no love for the hunt.
Yes, to be fair, it's not Monster Hunter, it's like Monster Defender.
You know what
What about instead of Monster Hunter, it's Monster Cunter, and it's like...
Okay.
It's like a breeding simulator for the monsters of Monster Hunter.
Right.
And then, hear me out, okay? Monster Hunter. And then what happens is you take a little bit of the fucking Zaphalos or whatever it's fucking called, and the Boogaloo, all right? And you make them pork, and then the Zaphamungu, right? And then that creates another creature that's its own little entity.
You can create hybrid monsters.
Yeah, but then there's another element to the game where other people can try and attack your like offspring, and it's like, do you? I'm kind of going a little bit off the rails here, and I'm waiting for one of you to interject and just move on so that I can stop talking.
Okay, counterpoint.
Okay.
Let's bring back a legendary franchise and combine it with the Monster Hunter franchise because no one likes it. And let's be honest, Monster Hunter needs a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, everybody hates Monster Hunter.
Everyone hates Monster Hunter.
Not just us, yeah.
Hear me out. Cabela's dangerous big game Monster Hunters.
I like
so
it.
it's still like the Zaphalos and all those guys, but it's a Cabela's game. So you're just going out there with a shotgun and shooting them in the head.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Wait, was
Thank
it
you for coming to my TED Talk.
Should we move on to the next game?
Please.
Which
next up, Cabela's Big Game Hunters coming out on the. Sorry,
no, the next super mashup is Mario, but this time he's playing golf.
Yeah,
yes.
Mario Golf Super Rush, June 25th.
Rejoice.
Fellas,
I love Nintendo's way of doing that.
Well,
we want to make a golf game. It sounds shit. Mario golf game. I'm in.
What's shit about golf games?
But
that's the fact that no one buys them. That's why they have to make Mario Golf in order to sell it.
Okay, but look, fellas, let's be real here. It was very dry, wasn't it? Until they were like, oh yeah, speed golf.
Speed golf is genius. I won't hear anything else, anything bad said about it.
I'm annoyed about this.
Yeah,
because I invented speed golf. Like,
here we go.
15 years ago.
15
years ago.
Settle in, children. Here we go. Alex Jones invented speed golf.
I don't know what this is in this game when it says speed golf, but I had a mate who used to play golf. And this is like 15 years ago. And I genuinely said, oh, the problem with golf, I said, I quite like golf, but it's kind of boring. I said, and that's why I think people like to play it. It takes too long. I said, what you need is like speed golf. And he was like, what the hell's speed golf? I said, right, simple. You all line up at the tee at the exact same time. It doesn't matter how many shots you take to get in the hole, but it's just whoever gets the ball in the hole first. So you could go 50 small shots and you try and do it that way. You could go for one big shot that can whip it too far one way or the other, and then you've got to go further to find your ball. I was like, speed golf. And he said, actually, that sounds like a really good idea. I'd like to play that. Oh. And then I literally saw this today, Mario Speed Golf, and I was like, if they've stolen my idea for speed golf,
your idea.
I'm finding that bloke who I told that idea to, and if he's got a load of money, I'm going to be angry.
Yeah. But you're not far off on what speed golf was, except... Yeah, imagine hitting the ball all at the same time and then running after your ball, picking up power-ups to help you go faster to get to the next ball and hit it and closer until you sink it. It's pretty cool.
They've stolen my fucking idea.
I just like
I'm not happy.
I like the sprinting aspect of it. But then they also showed off the story mode, which like, hey, you can make a me and you can have an RPG-style story mode where you get like XP and shit.
Fuck it.
Sure,
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I'm suing Nintendo.
But
But I'd like, for stealing an idea that you shared with a friend on a golf course 15 years ago.
yeah,
We weren't even on a golf course. We were at work. We weren't even. Yeah.
but
Even better.
I think this is the most damning thing about the Direct as a whole. Is this was one of the marquee titles.
I don't know if that's damning. I really like Mario Golf games.
Absolutely.
You like anything with Mario in front of it.
This is true.
They could make Mario Laundry, like the Mario Laundry, where you've got to take washing that comes down a chute, sort it into the correct pile for which washing machine, put it in the washing machine, and then grab the washing as it's finished, put it in the dryer. But oh no, the dryers are all full. But then you've put something in for the wrong amount of time. You've used laundry detergent when you shouldn't have used, like, you've used non-bio and you choose bio, and you would be all over
Yeah,
that
but
game.
Jonesy, you're forgetting the one crucial thing with Mario games.
Go on.
It's that Super Mario sauce, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the thing. I'm thinking it's you pick your character who's doing the laundry, and Jamie would love the shit out of that game.
No, look,
Mario
look,
Laundry, come in 2024. If my speed golf idea is anything to go by, they'll steal Mario Laundry as well.
But listen, Jamie's right. Like the Mario sports games are actually a hell of a lot of fun. More so than people give them credit for. Like Super Mario, like Mario Strikers, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, they are a hell of a lot of fun.
Strikers has to be next, right?
I mean, you'd think so. But the point that I'm trying to say is like Mario Golf, Mario Strikers, Mario Tennis to me has always been like, hey, here's Super Mario Galaxy and here's Super Mario Strikers. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Perfect sense. Both are great games. But when you get into a direct like this, that's been 590 days in the fucking making. And you're like, yeah, there's our Mario game, Super Mario Golf Rush. Like, okay,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. As much as it is my style of thing, I do get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But anyway, they had some Tales of the Borderlands. I mean, fair enough. That's a good fit on the Switch. They had Capcom Arcade Stadium with a free copy of 1943. Fine, whatever. Stubbs the Zombie was a bit of a cool one, I thought. Because
Stubbs the Zombie. Yeah. Didn't think I'd see that game making any headlines anytime soon, but I like Stubbs the Zombie an awful lot.
Yeah. You know what I found out the other day? Well, not the other day, today, actually, because I saw the original box art for Xbox. It's made in the Halo engine.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
So
I wonder how that came to pass. That's
No
kind of
fucking
fascinating.
idea. Yeah. But anyway.
Halo ports on Switch. You heard it here first.
Can you imagine? No More Heroes 3 got shown off with, again, a fucking voiceover explaining everything in the fucking game. But as I was watching that trailer, I was like, damn, this looks cool. Like, I'm not sure about the alien slant, but this looks cool. I like No More Heroes 1 and 2. But with every passing second, it's just like, yep, this is a Suda game. This is a Suda game. Yep.
Seems to be trying some weird stuff in terms of like different stylistic things for boss fights and different mechanics.
And there's like a fucking, I don't know, a Doom glove or some shit that
I don't know.
Upgrade.
I hope that game's good, but like
I hope so too.
I don't really know how well the No More Heroes games have aged, and the Travis Strikes Again thing from a couple of years ago was
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Anyway, afterwards, though, the craziness continued because we got the debut of a game called Neon White, which looked utterly bizarre. It's from the developers of Donut County, Ben Esposito and all that lot.
Which is strange. Okay, but hold on. Explain this fucking game.
Well, it looked like a strange sort of like fast-paced, frenetic, first-person action game where you were almost parkouring around an environment, picking up cards that seemed to be tied to almost like abilities, like they were weapons on so on and so forth, and then using those cards to attack enemies in the environment. But it looked so smooth and free-flowing, I couldn't tell if it was meant to be on rails or if it was completely like dynamically controlled and just really it looked like something that'd be very fiddly to play in handheld mode if it wasn't on rails, I'll put it that way. But also, like, none of the weapons or attacks are represented on screen, so you pick up like a samurai card sword and you're theoretically able to do some kind of melee attack, but you don't see yourself holding a samurai sword.
Yeah, it's just like a slash appears on screen or something, or if you're shooting, it's just like the bullet impacts, but no actual gun. It's bizarre, dude. I don't know. It looks fucking cool, but like visually, it's got a very visual,
cool style,
striking visual style, but such a strange fucking game, man.
I think it's that thing of though when you blend like card games with video games, you do get weird crossover points because it's how far down the card route you go, how far down the like when we played the Left 4 Dead, was it Left 4 Dead
Back 4 Blood
thing. Back 4 Blood. Like Back 4 Blood had loads of cards in. You get cards and you get power-ups. But there's a crossover point there where it's barely a card game. They're just representative.
Yeah.
But then I suppose with a game like this, I guess it's just more of a card game with visual elements.
Yeah.
And so you can't
but then you have to have
weird,
that tight control, right? You have to have that for like, I don't know.
But maybe you don't. Maybe you're right, and it is really on rails, and it's more of a interactive card game with some friggin' cool animation.
Maybe,
Man.
maybe.
But dude, I've finished Donut County, and I still don't know what that game was.
Donut County, it's a game about holes.
Yeah, it's a mobile game. We've got our holes.
Like, it makes no sense.
You put things in the holes, and the holes get bigger, and the bigger the hole gets, the more things you put in the holes.
Story of Jamie's life.
That's one of those what more do you need to know games, in my opinion. I don't really. I mean, that game does have
there are raccoons
and a story
and holes.
Yeah, and everyone talks like a millennial.
People fall in holes.
Well, guys, look.
And sometimes people come out of holes.
In the interest of moving it along, because we've got quite a bit to kind of go through. DC Superhero Girls coming out on June 4th.
This was a weird one.
Oh, it is weird, but then again, like fucking, what's wrong with catering to a young female audience? Absolutely nothing. But
nothing wrong with it existing. It just, I don't know.
What percentage of going to be young
what
girls
percentage
playing
of,
it versus older blokes?
Yeah,
Probably
the
more
fucking
older blokes.
bronies and all that shit. They're just going to get into it.
Do you know what I thought when I looked at it, Chris?
Yeah,
Jonesy's going to play this.
It's an Alex Jones game for sure, 100%, 100%. Yeah. Then, fellas, they had Plants vs Zombie Complete Edition. Cool. I mean, what's there to say about Plants vs Zombie other than it's Plants vs Zombies?
They had Plants vs Zombies.
Metopia, which I think that came out on Wii U, didn't it? But then
I have no idea. That game was white noise to me at this point in the direct.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't even know why we're still making Miis, let alone going on adventures with Miis and having Miis become better friends with one another to power up their attacks and get fucked by a horse.
And then they showed off some animal. It did seem like there was like some horse love simulator stuff in there.
Yeah, there's
like,
some proper Mr. Hands material, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If
Brave.
you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Then they showed off some free content for Super Mario stuff in Animal Crossing, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to get like excited about, and that's all cool. But it was around about this time that I was like, fucking, what is this direct, dude? I hope they're going to start bringing out some cool stuff. And they did bring out something cool, but also something pretty lame, depending on your... I don't know. I don't know, okay? They showed off Project Triangle Strategy, which is coming out in 2022 of all fucking... So next year, but...
Yeah.
Hell yes. That's where they lied because it wasn't the first half of 2021. Yeah. But anyway, it was nice to see.
I don't like that, man. When we get into the whole, they lied. It's so stupid.
No,
we're
joking.
Happens
Jonesy.
all the fucking
joking,
time, man.
Jonesy, come on.
No, I know you are.
Don't take things
some
so
people
literal.
wouldn't be.
Anyway,
some people would have been saying that like seriously. It's like, get over yourself.
So this is a second entry in Square Enix's, I believe it's called 2D HD kind of.
Which I love that's how they're branding this thing. I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of that.
I like it, dude. There's this really cool art style that we saw in Octopath Traveler where it's like 2D sprites on a 3D plane, but still using pixel graphics. It looks very cool. Looks very, very cool. Yeah. And so it's a tactical RPG like Ogre Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced, that kind of thing, which I'm a big fan of. They're really fun games. And the gameplay looked really cool. Some really interesting ideas. The story, though, just like seems like the dullest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like like playing an episode of like medieval LA Law or some shit like that.
They unironically use the word espouse. I don't even know. Like there's literally they've got the things where like you're weighing up
scales,
those scales that weigh different things. It's like honor or integrity and what will you espouse? And then the best bit, I can't even forget espouse, was like, there's a war going on because people are fighting over the two most precious resources, salt and iron. It's called the Salt Iron War. You're like, that's the most Square Enix shit you could ever do.
But like, wars in the days of bygone eras had stupid names. So do
you guys remember when like George Bush went all in on the nuclear oil war?
No, you mean no nuclear oil war.
Oh yeah, we hope there's nuclear. If not, there's oil war.
But yeah, it just kind of seems that like a game like that is calling out for, I don't know, more fantastical elements. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. This just seemed like it's a fucking like the most boring fucking shit with some cool gameplay added in. Look, there's a demo available. I didn't have time to kind of try it out. I may be entirely wrong about that, but.
It's interesting because obviously Octopath Traveler was I have not finished that game by any stretch. I've got loads to play, but it's a cool fucking game, and I like the idea, and I like the branching thing, and you can go follow different paths and stuff like that. And it looks awesome. Like it's definitely a game that I stopped playing out of time, not because it wasn't cool, but then it's interesting because it looks great, but then if the story's that naff, then it's like,
dude, the story looks like do you remember when you were at school and it's like, oh okay, now we're gonna do like. In English, it was always like, oh, you have to learn Shakespeare, right? And it's like some of the Shakespeare stuff was cool. You're like, okay, Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer's Night, blah, blah, blah. And some of it's just like, okay, here's Hamlet. It's like, I don't care. It's like, boring. Like, fuck off. Like, the most dull fucking court, oh, the king's court is in turmoil,
Kinda. Here's the real question, though.
Yeah.
What do you guys reckon the odds are that when this game comes out, they just take the word project out of the title? And it's just called
Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy.
I'd love it if
literally Octopath Traveler. Like, hey, guess what it's about? It's a game where you could choose the paths between the paths of 8 different people.
Yeah, and
what's triangle strategy
and that was
about?
Called Project Octopath Traveler, wasn't it?
Exactly.
But I think
you've
this
got
is
3 strategies.
Yeah, but you can't.
There are 3 strategies to win it.
You can call a game Octopath Traveler because it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, Octopath Traveler. You can't call something Triangle Strategy. Just 2 fucking random words you've taken and just mushed them together.
Yes, you can. And they will.
Fuck, I guess you can. Well, another game where they've just taken things and seemingly shunted them together, but not really. Star Wars Hunters, the first we've heard of first we've seen maybe of a non-EA Star Wars game, which is due to come out.
This one had the Zynga logo on it.
Yes.
This is the online Star Wars game, right?
Kind of. Not much is known about it. I do have a bit of an inside scoop, but I cannot actually talk about it. Yeah, I can't talk about it. But
that's bullshit. Then. You can't say I've got an inside scoop, but I can't talk about it.
Of course I can. No, because I can say that I think that this could be something pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I know. Look, I know a lot of people are like concerned, like, oh, it's a Zynga game, and it's like, oh, it's going to come out on mobile as well. It's like, don't worry about the fact that Zynga is there because. Yeah, just don't worry. It should be cool. Like the other icon there, the little studio icon that people are missing is Natural Motion. Natural Motion is cool. So Natural Motion created the tech behind the ragdoll stuff in Star Wars Force Unleashed. What was it called? Like, what was that engine called?
Yeah, but this is a mobile game as well as a Switch game, though, right?
Yeah, and there may.
So it's I don't know how excited we should get about it if it's also going to be on phone.
Look, Jonesy, I think it's simple. If you liked Farmville, you'll love. No, I'm joking.
I think no, but like
I'm not trying to downplay it, but I'm just saying but it is also a mobile, so it's going to be it's limited by games that are fun on mobile.
Yeah, but hold on,
it still could be
hold on.
game, but it's never going to be.
Remember a few things, and I'm not putting this in the same camp whatsoever, but I need you to remember something, okay? COD Mobile, PUBG Mobile, Fortnite, Minecraft. These are all big games with robust experiences that you can play on your mobile.
GTA San Andreas.
Okay, but I'm not saying it's in the same ballpark because it's not. It's something different, okay? But anyway, look, you can play League of Legends, a version of it on mobile. Like
Jones is not convinced. I can see it in the face.
But you see, I think this is good though that Jonesy isn't convinced because Jonesy is emblematic of what a lot of people are feeling about this game in looking at it and saying Zynga is involved and it's on mobile as well, and it's like.
No, I think it could be cool, but what I mean is let's not get too excited.
I think it's going to be cool, dude. I think it's worth getting excited that it's a non-EA Star Wars game, right?
Okay,
sure.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's a good point.
Do you know what EA published game I'm not going to get excited about? Knockout City. The game that not only dared to ask the question, what if Splatoon was just dodgeball, but also made it a video game.
Yeah. Well, you know, when this trailer came out, I was like, oh, they're bringing World of Warcraft to Fortnite. I was
Right.
like, dude, because by that point, I was like, oh yeah, Star Wars Hunters, yeah, fuck, cool, yeah. And then like I missed like some of it, and I just started watching. I was like, what? It's got Fortnite's art style. There's a fucking orc there that looks like it could be from World of Warcraft.
Bro,
I'm
yeah.
like, bro, what is this? What is
The Blizzard legal team must have been going, do we do something? Like,
Do we sue?
yeah, like what do we do? But then of
we
course,
sue?
like the trailer that was clearly made like by some external company gave way to the actual gameplay, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just like, what if it was dodgeball?
So I love that they're going, should we sue? Then it goes to the dodge when they're like, oh, fuck. Okay. Like, no one gives a shit.
Yeah,
Well, because there was no
they're not going to be able
semblance.
to afford lawyers.
Yeah,
They haven't got any
there was
money to give
semblance
us.
of like the characters that we saw pretending to play the game in that very polished like trailer. There was
Yeah.
no semblance of that in the actual gameplay. I didn't
Yeah,
really get what they were doing. Like
It was
I don't know.
strange, dude. And yeah, fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Another one I don't know about, World's End Club by the Danganronpa people. I'm sure fans of Danganronpa will fucking they'll fucking
Do you know
love
what,
it.
Chris? I'm going to Danganron pass on that one if that's okay.
Oh, very clever. Well, would you pass on the next one, Jamie?
I don't need to. I've already played it. Hades. Hades is coming. Well,
Thanks for taking the hint that you should.
sorry.
take over.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were throwing that. I was like, okay. I was still thinking of Danganronpa jokes. Hades is actually already on Switch, and you can be playing it on Switch right now if you wanted to. But if you really wanted to own a physical version of Hades, you can do so on March 19th, and you will get access to the soundtrack and an art book, if that's your cup of tea. But it probably isn't. So let's talk about Ninja Gaiden,
Which is the thing?
kind of. Well, it's kind of coming back, right? These aren't the old school Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah.
These are
These
kind
are the
of
Xbox ones.
Yeah, the Xbox, like Sigma and Sigma 2 and Ninja Gaiden 3. I don't know. I'm not good with my Ninja Gaidens, but I guess this would be a way to get better because they're coming together in the Master Collection package on June 10th.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I think they said that it's going to come out on PC as well at some point. What annoys me about this is, okay, so it's taking all these old Xbox games, kind of like, sweeping the dust off, putting them in one collection for, I don't know, convenience sake. But they showed off some gameplay where they had the HUD elements on there, right? And this is a bit of a bugbear for me because I hate big HUD elements. It really fucking kills me. I don't know why. It's just like, I really fucking hate it. Like, if I could get any of the HUD developers, I'd just slap them around a bit and be like, why are you making it so big?
Yeah.
Because
less is more HUD.
I just think that there's smart ways. There was one gameplay thing where I think the character was in the screen. Obviously, the character's meant to be quite big and prominent in the screen. So let's say taking about 40% of the screen height, and the rest of it was all fucking HUD. I was like, what are you doing? That was like some sequence going up against the boss or something. A massive fucking HUD on the top, massive HUD on the bottom, big fucking buttons, press this to do this and that. I was just like, dudes, come on.
Yeah.
Just fix the
I love it. I love it because Nintendo is like, what happened if the last 20 years of game development never occurred? Like,
no, but it's not. But it's not
like-
Nintendo.
oh, okay, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
But Nintendo in general are kind of like that anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, kind of. One thing that Nintendo is still sort of getting up to speed with is season passes, something that they occasionally introduce to games. And as we've already mentioned, they have one coming out for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. But then they kind of got into montage mode, where they basically rattle through a few release dates, confirming things we already knew. So Bravely Default 2 coming out on February 26th, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected coming out on February 25th, Saga Frontier Remastered April 15th, Apex Legends on March 9th with crossplay and some double XP for anyone that wants to jump on the Switch version when that launches.
I think that's cool, especially purely because of the crossplay element, because Apex Legends is a fucking fantastic game. It's free, and some people would only have Switch as a console, so I think this is fucking fantastic. Will I play? Will I play Apex Legends on my Switch? Fuck no! I got a PC, bitches.
Also, it's really good of them to give you double XP on the Switch because you're going to need it. Like, the amount of times you're going to win and do well on the Switch is going to be decreased amount.
Unless it really
with crossplay,
unless it matches you up with other Switch players first. Because I remember
that
when
makes sense. Yeah,
if it does that, then maybe there's an opportunity to get some wins. But otherwise, tricky.
Yeah. But I guess then they switched tact and got
Yes.
Eiji Aonuma coming on talking about Zelda, and we're like, okay, cool, Zelda 35th anniversary. This is it, boys. This is it. And the first thing that comes out of that dude's mouth is no Breath of the Wild 2. Sorry.
Yep.
More info this year though, which is a good sign.
That's encouraging, yeah.
But I think that's fair. Maybe they could have said, no Breath of the Wild 2 at the start of the thing, but then maybe no one would have watched. I don't know. But anyway,
maybe
just I'm out.
They have done that before. They have gone like, hey, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. We're not talking about this. They've literally done that. But you're right, Chris. I think it would have been a bit too on the nose to maybe come out before the thing.
I think what is good. So this is something that a lot of people were expecting to be on here, and you know what? It's been enough time since the last fucking trailer that they showed off that I think that's a fair assumption. But what was encouraging is saying that development was moving along smoothly, and they'll have a lot more info to give out later this year, which kind of makes me think that it's not coming out this year, which is fine as well. But I don't know. It's not good. It's not bad.
Yeah, it'd be kind of mad if they didn't have anything to show yet, and then
it's not good. It's not bad. It's just
surprising.
it is what it is. What's taken them so long? I don't know. The fucking map and engine are already made, but whatever. Then they went on to talk about Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, which is something that a lot of people are kind of expecting, but maybe not just as its own fucking thing. Like, I think a lot of people are expecting it to be part of a package of like, here's a bunch of Zelda games all in one fucking thing and a collection, which I think would have been cool. They did show off some sweet Joy-Cons though, which...
Yeah, the new Joy-Cons look nice.
Really fucking nice. Really look fucking nice.
I don't know.
But
Skyward Sword... Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. Sorry, go ahead. Skyward Sword's
I was going to say...
one of the weird ones.
Yeah, it's one of the weird ones, and the weirdest thing about it is that like I can't say anything bad in terms of I've never had my hands on it. I've never played it myself. What's bad about it is that it's never appealed to me. Yeah. And there was something about the kind of like the post-Twilight Princess but pre-Breath of the Wild sort of like, not reboot of Legend of Zelda, but Breath of the Wild, if you'll excuse the pun, kind of breathed a lot of new life into that franchise.
Yeah.
And Skyward Sword is, for me, this weird hangover of the old Zelda games where it's like, actually, the idea of playing that game and going from dungeon to dungeon and the traditional Zelda experience on a game that at the time was so reliant on the Wii Motion Plus and banking on all of that stuff. And hey, like, what if you had one-to-one sword control with your Wii Mote?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really want to play that.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. Like, after Breath of the Wild, I don't want to go back to the old Zelda at all.
Yeah. You know what? Ironically, the only one I would go back to is if they... So basically, since this Direct ended, there's been some scuttlebutt, basically people saying that Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD, which were both repackaged and re-released on the Wii U, will eventually come to Switch too.
Yeah,
from what I understand, those will happen. Wind Waker HD I will play because I've got the nostalgia for, and I know that's harsh and maybe unfair on Skyward Sword, that this is literally a battle of like nostalgia versus no nostalgia, but it's a powerful thing.
It is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I don't know. Skyward Sword, like I struggle to get too hyped for it. Jonesy, you're someone that like is almost completely out of the Zelda loop at times. Like, you must look at this and think, what the...
My first Zelda game was Breath of the Wild. It's literally the first Zelda game.
And you didn't even like it.
I thought it was alright. I thought it was an alright open
One
world
of the
game.
best games ever made. I thought it was alright.
I mean, that is ludicrous, but
it's the truth.
No,
it was the truth.
It was fine.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
I enjoyed parts of Breath of the Wild. Like it's not like, I don't think it's like a bad game. It's just a big game, and I think if you've got to be more into it than I was to finish it. So I think I've stopped at like the 10-hour mark or something. Like, I didn't finish it. But hey, at least that means that if I wanted to play more Breath of the Wild right now, I could crack on my Switch and play some more Breath of the Wild.
That's cool.
Which you boys can't do.
I can, because I haven't finished the game yet. For that exact reason.
Then play Breath of the Wild.
I will.
Go and play the first one if you want more Legend of Zelda.
Why do you think I charged up my Switch? I was like, I'm going to play some Breath of the Wild. And it's like, no, sorry, not switching on today, buddy.
You go. You're in the best position.
But Jamie,
you got loads to play.
It's interesting saying that, like, from Breath of the Wild, you don't want to go back to the old Zeldas, right? Because Eiji then goes on and says, oh, we know a lot of people really like Breath of the Wild, but don't forget, there's Breath of the Wild elements in Skyward Sword. And to me, that was almost like, fucking, what was it? Was it Jeb Bush or something who was said some speech, and at the end of the speech, no one clapped, and he said,
Please
clap. Please clap. It was almost like, it felt like that. It was just like, what do you do?
Bro, yeah, like when you're basically having to promote your like HD re-release of a game by claiming, oh, I promise it's really similar to the new one, you're like, you know, you're kind of in trouble. And it's because like this was a game that made sense for a re-release, but there's just, I don't think a lot of people were clamoring for a Skyward Sword re-release. And
I think there's a few out there for sure, but yeah.
There are some people out there, but like I saw a tweet just before we went live, and it was like someone ranking their feelings that ranking all the 3D Zelda games, and they put Skyward Sword last, and you're like it's not necessarily saying it's a bad game, but which one's it better than?
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't say I haven't played it, but the people that have played it seem weirdly torn on it.
See, I think it would have been much cooler if they just took another one of the handheld Zeldas and remastered it, like they did with Link to the Past.
Like maybe one of the DS ones, like a Phantom Hourglass or something like that.
Yeah,
Spirit
that
Tracks.
Would have been cool. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But then again, those were like co-published with like Capcom or something. What was it?
Probably.
It was like
I don't know. I just want Wind Waker. I just want Wind Waker HD. No one really got a chance to play it because it was also on the Wii U. Just give us some Wind Waker.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
I was going to say one last comment. It also just like a nice reminder of how like Nintendo, as Jonesy often points out, are on such a different track where like, you know, recently we've been talking about things like God of War or Control and like, hey, going back to old games because they're playable in 4K at 60 frames a second with ray tracing. And Nintendo are just like, our big game is Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah.
And it's like, how often do you hear HD being used as like a selling point nowadays?
Yeah.
Only in Nintendo. Right?
It is such a funny thing. Like, yeah, it is funny, but it's really good. I really like it. I think it is brilliant that they're not a out and out sort of like toe to toe competitor to Sony and Xbox in the same way.
Yeah.
They're like a completely different thing, and I think that's to their benefit. I don't think it would do them any justice to try and put them in the same category in a lot of sense. Which is why I think they actually make it work so well. But that's one of the things that's most frustrating about Nintendo, because when you have something like this and you're talking about, oh, I want to see a remaster or I want to see a remake of Wind Waker, and we're talking about, you know, all these other games, third-party games they're bringing to Switch, everyone just wants new Nintendo games.
Yeah. True.
Stop remaking old shit and just make a new Mario game. Like, if you're working on a new Breath of the Wild, so that's fine. Just make some other first-party Nintendo shit. That's what people want.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what was largely missing from this. Like I said, one of the marquee titles was Mario Golf. Okay, fine, and I guess the other two marquee titles from Nintendo, at least, would be Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword HD, which is like, even among Zelda fans, I think it's like, okay. Yeah, I'll take it. And then the last game that they showed off is probably the other one, which is Splatoon 3.
Hell yeah.
In a very strange kind of trailer, because that trailer got me a little bit bamboozled. Not going to lie. Because
what were you thinking?
I thought it was going to be a single-player RPG, the way it started off.
So there was single-player stuff or there was campaign stuff in Splatoon 2, right?
Yeah, but like not like
not really.
Well, there was like
right?
a story element thing, wasn't there?
No,
With,
it was more
So
like
do you reckon
these weird,
they
like,
just-
trials. It was like this weird like thing. I can't even remember, but they did DLC for it that had a slightly more like of a campaigny focus. But that you're right, there were like boss fights and weird. I don't know.
So maybe they've gone more down that route.
I wouldn't mind if they did. You know, I wouldn't mind if they did.
Because the trailer for that was weird. Because I was thinking when they showed that, it almost looked like a Borderlands trailer with Splatoon girl in it with a friggin' bow, and then you're like, and a little pet chicken puppy.
Yeah.
And it definitely looked like they were making it look like a single player, like an open world, like, and then to go Splatoon 3.
Yeah, and she gets on a train to Splatoonville. It's just like, hey, it's Splatoon 3.
Yeah, but hold on, because there was all of that, and I was like, am I okay for a Splatoon single player RPG? And it's like, you know, yeah, I think I am, because that's
sure,
that's
why
pretty
not?
cool. Like,
And then they stitched you up.
and then they stitched me up, but before they stitched me up, like you said, she got on a train, and it felt like she was on that train for like 2 minutes, And it's like what's just happened? Am I watching the game load? Is this like a hidden loading screen? I was just so fucking confused. Like, what is this?
Yeah, and then they showed all the more traditional Splatoon gameplay, and you're like, why did we just watch it?
And then they showed off Splatoon gameplay, which looks exactly like Splatoon. I was like, okay,
yeah,
and that's what they ended on. That's what they ended on. And maybe the reason. Maybe the big culprit behind all of this and people feeling that this direct was very average, maybe the main culprit is Steve Jobs.
Nintendo.
No, Steve Jobs.
Oh. Go on.
Because you're always waiting for that iPod Nano, MacBook Air.
It's been in my pocket this whole time.
Yeah, one more thing kind of deal. And it's like when you end on Splatoon 3 and you're like, huh, okay. Look, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a big Splatoon community who are absolutely over the moon at the idea that next year there's going to be a Splatoon 3. And that's great. That's really, really great. But in a direct that has been 590 days in the making, as I keep on fucking harping on, I don't know. This isn't average.
I don't think it's Steve Jobs' fault because we've said it's like this was nearly an hour long. We've listed off 31 different announcements that
that's a
made.
lot of games.
So that is. So they're effectively giving less than 2 minutes on average across the board to this, and in my mind, to fill it that full with announcements, you know that you're not dropping AAA releases. Like, if you could go through this entire list, how many things could you say are like a AAA release? What, like none? Like, even the stuff that sort of stands out, like Mario Golf, which sounds cool. I joked about before, but like sounds cool. And would I like to play it? I would like to play it. Will I buy it? Probably not, because it'll probably be 65 quid, and it will be that for the next 10 years. But it looks fun. Is it a AAA game? I don't think I could call that a AAA title. From what I've seen, I don't think I could call that a AAA game, no matter how polished and fancy it looks.
It depends.
I get what Jonesy's saying. Like, maybe saying it's not AAA is the wrong way of going about it. But will it sell the same as a mainstream title? No, it won't.
Yeah. It will be the quality of a AAA game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in the same way, Jamie, as you could say Destruction All-Stars, is that a AAA game? I would say it's as polished as a AAA game, but does it feel like a AAA game to play? No. And that to me with Nintendo, with this sort of direct, is a lot of this stuff is cool. And if you're into it, like even the Smash stuff, like that's not an announcement of a AAA game. That's adding one character to Smash.
Yeah.
And then you talk about a whole load of other games which are AAA or very high level games, but have been out for a good while and are just now coming to Switch and are going to be, playable on Switch, which is wicked, which is great.
Yeah.
It expands it to more people. But then a lot of the actual announcements are remasters, HD, remakes of things, DLC, expansion passes, mobile-ish games that are coming to Switch.
Games for weebs.
But it's also like, we joked about how they broke their own rules a couple of times. And they did Splatoon 3 and Project Triangle Strategy 2022 games. But when you look at everything there and also within the context of like, hey, these are all coming out in the first half of the year, it's also not that bad. Like, okay, there are a couple of things that are maybe like breaching the perimeter of the AAA space, like Skyward Sword HD or Mario Golf. But like, okay, great. Like, while we were recording, I got a notification from PlayStation saying I can pre-order Ratchet and Clank coming out in June. That's a reminder that like the PS5 kind of has nothing fucking happening for like the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So when Nintendo were doing,
we've just been told 31 games.
Yeah. So like you can weigh it up in different ways. Like if the alternative to this is waiting till May for Deathloop, then this is all of a sudden isn't so bad.
Yeah, I suppose the reason this kind of depresses me a little bit, and as more of a periphery Switch player, is if we're talking about till the end of 2022, so not like only, but could be, because they're announcing games that are coming out in 2022, it could be that by the end of 2022, we're not really talking about much in the way of AAA.
No, because look,
first-party Nintendo games.
No, because look, okay, so this is... it
potentially.
It is very much what they said, right? It is games coming to Switch in the first half of the year, right? That's what it is with a few exceptions. And I think the few exceptions, like you take Splatoon 3 out and you take Project fucking Triangle Dildo out, it's a lot less of an interesting Nintendo Direct. So maybe they added those in for padding, for flavor, for interest, okay? But
right, yeah, fair enough. In which case you're saying there could be a whole load of stuff coming in 2022, but they were only in here to keep the AAA ratio up there. I reckon, because otherwise it's dry as fuck.
I reckon this year we'll get another Nintendo Direct, like proper Nintendo Direct, and we'll get a Zelda focused Direct. That's what I'm expecting for this year. But look,
in which case, if they do that, then sure, they'll be in a slightly different place, and then this makes more sense.
That's why I said I wonder if this is at the beginning of the podcast, if this was a Band-Aid rip, as it were. You know,
this was all the stuff that they should have spoken about up to now, but haven't, because they haven't really know where they've been. Actually, do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm being mean to Nintendo, and maybe what they've actually done is not spoken about this stuff because they didn't know if it was going to be released, and rather than do what most companies do and say, "Hey, this is coming out," and then push it and push it and push it, they've done the opposite, and they've kept everything close to their chest. And then they've come out and said, "There's a shitload of stuff to get out," and then we'll start to see a whole load of new, announcements coming in this year and next year.
But boys, listen, okay? Because for all the stuff that's...
I'll give them that.
For all the stuff that was in this Direct, here's the stuff that wasn't in the Direct, okay? And imagine taking these things and putting them in their own Direct, and we'll discuss that in a second, okay? Because there was no Breath of the Wild 2, but we do know that we will hear more later this year. There was no mention of Super Mario Galaxy 2. That's just for me because I fucking love that game.
You're going to bring that up every 6 months until it happens.
Yeah, exactly. As a season expansion pass for 3D All Stars. No mention of Metroid Prime 4. No mention of the rumored 2D Metroid. No mention of Bayonetta 3. No new Mario Kart, because remember, we're still operating on a Wii U Mario Kart port. No Donkey Kong Country or any Donkey Kong related thing. Now imagine all of those in its own Direct. Then all of a sudden you've got a Super Direct without talking about anything else. So maybe there is something to it. I don't know.
Can I just jump in and say there is not going to be a new Mario Kart for a while? They are making bare money off the back of Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, but
why
Mario Kart 8 was also a re-release. That's why it's called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition. Yeah. So Mario Kart 9 could have been in production for a long period of time.
But what I mean is there's still that game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is still like a £60 game. It was the most profitable game they've ever made until Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I don't think that's ever stopped them making new games before. They take their time. They take their time. Like, people are already looking at like Odyssey and maybe an Odyssey 2 or another 3D Mario game. If you look at the lineage of 3D Mario games, they take their time. Like 3 years isn't a long time to go without one of those.
Yeah.
I'd rather they did that than did the yearly release thing, which is bullshit. So, to be fair.
Yeah. And other places like Metroid Prime 4, who fucking knows? Like that game restarted development at a new studio, so it was going so badly. So you can't hold your breath with stuff like that, but it would be very nice.
To be fair to Nintendo, they actually are genius, because what they did was release the Wii U, which was shit, release a whole load of games for the Wii U that were good, that people... The 10 people and Chris who owned the Wii U
I didn't own the Wii U. So
did you not?
No.
Oh, Jesus. The 10 people minus Chris who actually played the games on the Wii U. But that meant that they had an entire generation of Nintendo games that they could remake slightly and re-release for the Switch for like the next 10 years.
Dude, yeah, you're not wrong. I'm sure when the Switch was a success, they were like, oh, thank God, but now we've got to come up with games. What are we going to do? And they're like, oh, hold on a second. No one played all these fucking great games. Let's just give them that. And they'll fucking love it.
Okay, so let's look at it. Like Mario Kart 8. These are the best-selling Wii U games. Mario Kart 8, yes, it has come to Switch. Super Mario 3D World, yes, it has come to Switch. New Super Mario Bros. U, I think, yes, it has come to Switch. Yeah. Super Smash Bros. They just made a new one.
Yeah.
Splatoon, they immediately made Splatoon 2 for Switch, which is very similar. Super Mario Maker, they immediately make Super Mario Maker 2 for Switch. Wind Waker HD will come out. Mario Party, there's been on Switch. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, they re-released it on Switch. Breath of the Wild all came out day and date on Switch.
Yeah.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Switch. Pikmin 3, Switch. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD will come to Switch. Hyrule Warriors came to Switch. Like, they're doing it. They know exactly what they're fucking doing.
Smart, man, smart. You've got all these things that are already done. They're already made. No one played them, so you haven't got to worry about people complaining. Like, it's genius.
Fucking hell.
Oh,
Well,
clever Nintendo. Very clever.
There we go. But that was the Nintendo Direct for, you know.
But do you know what's funny? In some ways, it's actually really good, because imagine something like the GameCube or whatever that wasn't as big as, or the Dreamcast that wasn't as big but had cool games. But then people talk about games that you never got to play because they were on that system and then they disappeared and never came back. Imagine if someone had remade a lot of those games and other people could have enjoyed them. So fair play.
Nintendo do that too. That's why Wind Waker and Super Mario Sunshine are still coming up in conversation in 2021.
Mental. Yeah. Well, there you go, fellas.
Well, I think that's about it, right? Wouldn't you say, Jonesy?
Yeah, that's the signal. That's the signal, Jonesy. That's
That's when you're waiting for the host to end the podcast.
No, but hey, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the return of the Mac, the return of Chris. Thank you for joining us for the podcast once again. Remember that you can catch us on nearly any podcast platform of any repute. So check us out there if you haven't already and you would like to have us in audio form. Or if you're listening to us in audio, maybe go to our YouTube channel at SuperShow Pod and check us out. And you can see our little faces and flopping our hair about as we cover stuff off. Thank you once again to our patrons. If you would like to become one, you can go over to patreon.com, and for as little as $2, you can join the Discord and you can chat to us during the week if it's just not enough. Wow, Chris is doing some lovely zoomed faces right there. We are also on Twitter at SuperShowPod. And there you go. That is about it. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again real soon.
Bye.